We made it, everybody. Happy Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Let's get our heads right on this beautiful, beautiful Friday morning. And so great to be here with all of you guys. And here with the boys, I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer, imaging director of the program. Morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, what a question. Without a real answer. I don't know. The answer is I don't know how I feel right now. I feel pretty good. I'm also...
Should be feeling great.
I mean, it took a lot out of me last night, certainly.
Playing for a natty.
A natty, which is insane to me. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports tech. I brought you a gift this morning.
An orange?
Yeah, from the Orange Bowl.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
You got that from the Orange Bowl.
I got it. I want you to take that, and I want you to suck it, and I want you to suck on it hard and long and fast.
For the vitamin C.
Correct.
I see.
And deep. Suck on it.
Congratulations. I don't know why you're not feeling better.
Are you kidding?
This is what you dream of. If you're a fan of a team and they get to this level, an actual championship level, this is what you're hoping for. I mean, everything else was worse than this.
Is it?
And your hair.
It's excruciating. Last night was a full body breakdown, meltdown, the whole thing, you know. And somebody had tweeted last night, an old Irish alum that I follow. He said, "Caring again is really hard. It's very difficult." Yeah, I told you at the beginning of the year, and I think I've told you at the beginning of the season. For the last 7 seasons that we've worked together, I'm not real. I mean, I'm emotionally invested, but I'm not psychotic. I'll get my 10 wins. I'll maybe win or lose some crap bowl game, and we'll move on to the next year. I'll call my dad in the offseason. How we looking? My dad will say, "Looking good. Love this guy and that guy." And I'll go, "Sweet guy, sweet old man." Yeah, and we'll get our 10 wins, and we'll move on. This is a different ball game altogether. This is the real deal. And watching that game last night, a tale of two halves, certainly, I was as a wreck as I've ever been. And then when it ended, surprisingly, I was emotional, tears, like real, legit tears after that game. When that field goal went through the uprights, bro, I lost it. I mean, I lost it straight up because you start thinking about all the memories. You know, me with my pops going to games. I looked back at the pictures when I took Bo to his first Notre Dame game last year. And my experience is different. And, you know, I actually had a guy reach out last night, and he goes, "Can you explain your fandom to me? You didn't graduate from there." And I go, "No, you're right. Here's my fandom." My dad went there. Huge Notre Dame fan, obviously, went there. I couldn't get in. My grades were beyond pathetic. So I went to Holy Cross, which is across the street, which is where Rudy went, the community college. And it took me all of about 3 weeks to realize, yeah, you're not going to get your grades up here and go across the street. You're not getting in there, dude. You're not smart enough to go to that university.
Was that perhaps the first indication? Start at Holy Cross, get some decent grades, and then transfer to Notre Dame.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I mean, that's kind of what everybody that goes there wants to do. And few do, but my experience was that of a Notre Dame student because I worked at a Notre Dame bar. All my friends went to Notre Dame. All the girls I dated went to Notre Dame.
How much would you compare it to somebody graduates high school here, they go to Mesa for a couple of years, hoping to transfer into San Diego State, but you're still going out in PB or whatever with all the San Diego State students?
You know, I don't know. I feel like it's different because South Bend is literally, it's just a college town. Sure. That's all it is, right? Here is different. It's You have a city of San Diego, you know, the whole thing. So when you're there in South Bend, your entire world is Notre Dame. And so I had that experience of being there, working at the bar, getting our starting quarterback, Ron Powless, drunk, I don't know, 4 days a week on mind erasers. All my friends.
It's concerning, but that's fine.
My next door neighbors were 2 starting linebackers, Corey Minor and, oh, God, what is his name? Tate McKinnon.
Did you feel that was detrimental to your favorite football team to get the quarterback drunk 4 nights a week?
I got to say, I loved it. I loved being part of, like, my buddy was the kicker.
What's in a mind eraser anyway?
So it's Kahlua at the bottom, if I remember correctly.
Not a good start.
So you take a glass, and you put Kahlua at the bottom, and then you layer vodka on top of that. Then you put soda water in. Then you put 2 straws in it. And all
Say
you
it's
do
a
is
Black Russian with bubbles.
but then you just do this. You don't sip it. You take the straws and you
Double,
you suck it all up.
all the way.
Yeah, and that was the mind eraser. So he would drink those. I mean, he was under a lot of pressure. The guy won 4.
Vodka, coffee, and sparkling water.
Yeah, so the Kahlua. So he won 4 state championships in high school in Pennsylvania. Ron Powless did 4 in a row. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Comes to Notre Dame, beats Michigan his first game, throws 4 touchdowns. They said, this guy's going to win 2 Heisman trophies. I'll never forget it. And from that moment forward, it went downhill. So my experience, though, I remember being a kid, 10 years old, writing letters to Tim Brown when I was 11 and 12, writing letters to Chris Zorich and Michael Stonebreaker. I remember my dad took me to my first game. I'll never forget this. I told Hannah this morning. This is why I got emotional. I'm probably 11 years old, and we're walking around campus on Friday, and the pep rally's that night. And we did the whole experience. When you go with my dad, you get the whole experience. You don't just show up for the game and go. You do the whole friggin' thing. You go to the bookstore, you go to the Basilica, you go everywhere, the grotto. So we're walking around campus. My dad gives me the elbow. He goes, you know who that is over there? I go, who? He goes, that's the Rocket. Remember?
Rakib Ismail.
Yeah, Rocket Ismail. So he's walking back from class, and I freaked. So I followed this dude into his dorm at 11 years old to get his autograph. So it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my dad. My son yesterday pasted "Let's Go Irish" things all over the house. So it's definitely more than just a football game in our house. And so, man, when they won that game, I thought about my dad, who's having a rough time right now and is a little banged up. And I just lost it, man. I just lost it.
We'll get into the specifics of the game a little bit later, but I will say it is so nice. And we've had this experience, I would say, with the Padres last season.
Yeah.
To have a competent head coach / manager, whatever, guy who just feels like you trust they know what they're doing. They're making the right decisions. They're preparing their team properly. It doesn't guarantee you're going to win every game. No one can. But you also, I mean, Notre Dame in recent years, you've felt like the coaches just continue to stub their toes, over and over again. And Marcus Freeman doesn't feel that way. You feel good about him and confident about the guy who's leading your program.
Yeah, Eric says Woodsy is literally the Rudy of radio, but the guy didn't get in. Yeah, like I said, after a while, I realized after talking to people that went there, I went, I don't want to go there. They're all like on the fringe of like self-harm because they have to work so hard. The school is so tough. And I go, ooh, yeah, no, I don't want that for me. I'll just go to the city of Chicago and do that. So yeah, man. Eric says it's hard to imagine a kid that grows up in Texas is a diehard Notre Dame fan. So random. I literally just told you why. I just laid the whole story out because my dad.
All right, we'll go to break. We'll do it again.
Yeah, let's lay it out again. Okay, so when I was a kid,
Ben,
my dad was a fan.
orange.
Yeah, here's an orange. Man, it was special. It really, really was a special dub last night. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was as flabbergasted as I've ever been. I still can't get over it.
Well, congratulations. Obviously, Paul and I can't totally share it with you, but we can be happy for you.
I won money last night.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
Paul
good.
is sharing
I'm
it
good.
with you
Paul's
as
sharing
well.
it with me. I think you're fake sharing it with me. It's
I'm
fine.
a little fake sharing it.
I mean, you can't be a USC fan in any stretch and be like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm happy for you."
We missed you yesterday, though, on the golf course.
Yeah,
Paul
how'd that
and I
go?
had a really nice time at the Farmers Insurance Media Day.
To be honest, it was different. It was kind of fun, just me and Benny.
Yeah, it was just the two of us.
don't get a lot of
cool.
time.
I'll just go F myself then.
It
you
was,
could've been there.
Paul, you and Paulie have a lot of time together
We do.
with your various baseball teams and stuff. But Paulie and I don't get the same kind of just me and him time.
Hang
it was
time.
nice. We didn't have anyone playing with us because you didn't show up, so it was just a twosome.
Well, I couldn't show up.
I know, but
sick child.
But
And
the
a torn
course was.
groin.
I've never seen Torrey Pines in better shape.
Really?
I mean, even for the U.S. Open, the course was so dialed in.
Top-notch.
Damn it.
The day was so beautiful. Paulie was hitting the ball well. I was hitting the ball great. I made an eagle
That
on
is
the fifth hole. I haven't made an eagle in like a couple of years. But
All right, hang on. Very funny story about that hole. So I was off the green, and Ben was, what would you call it?
about 15 to 20 feet for eagle. I'd hit a 3-wood from 240
Nobody cares about what you hit.
right onto the center
Nobody
of the
cares
green.
about that part. It was about a 15-foot putt up a massive
Tier
up a hill. And so Ben is parking the cart, and I have to chip on. and I completely chunk it. I hit it about 4 feet.
Yep.
And so I drop another one because I just wanted to make sure I could do it.
Yeah.
What I was trying to do. And I actually hit the ball about 3 inches away from Ben's ball.
Okay.
Ben now walks up the hill onto the green and he goes, "Paulie, great shot. You can give me a line now for my eagle putt."
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, that was actually my second shot because I chunked the first one. I was just playing around." I go, "Tell you what, if you give me that shot, I'll give you your line."
I said, "No,
And he
go
goes,
ahead,
"I'll
take
make
it. I
that
don't care.
deal."
I want to
That's
see
right.
this." And Paulie
I
rolled in
walk
his
up,
putt.
I freaking nailed
No!
it.
And then I knew the exact line.
Is that
and
a
I-
good enough line for
and
you?
I rolled in the same putt for eagle. It was pretty fun. So, yeah, it was a beautiful day, and we
God,
did miss you.
Eagles are insane.
At Torrey Pines,
At
yeah.
Torrey Pines,
yeah,
that's
that was a lot of fun.
that was
so.
the new lab putter,
And then
wasn't it?
Well, on that one putt, yes, I 4-putted 3 other holes.
Well, that's not your
so-
fault. That's the greens.
Yeah,
fault.
apparently. Well, the greens are tough. Tricky greens. Paulie left after 9. I played 3 more holes, and then I called it a day. It's hard to play by yourself, like between foursomes at Torrey Pines. You're waiting a lot.
You're waiting a lot. Yeah.
So, but it was a gorgeous day. We did miss you a little bit, but we had fun. We did have fun. All right, we're going to take our first time out. We'll set the menu for the Friday edition of Ben and Woods when we come back. We got a lot of Padres talk to get to. There actually was some news involving the team yesterday. Plenty to discuss. We will come back after the check of traffic with Kelly on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
this one in for you, Benjamin, because I know you like this one.
Thank you, Little Simple Minds.
Yeah, I like
on
the
a Friday morning. I like that. Thank you.
The ooh.
I do too.
Maybe I'll listen to it over the break.
Ooh.
So I added that one for you.
Thank you.
Simple Minds.
I like when you program with a little Ben
With
in
a little
mind.
Ben in mind, yeah.
I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome, buddy. I think about you a lot.
Friday edition of Ben and Woods, we actually will be talking some Padres coming up. The Padres agreed to terms with all but one of their arbitration-eligible players yesterday. I was doing the math. We'll go through them all one by one, but Padres ended up spending around, $35 million yesterday? Not money that's new, of course. They already knew they were going to have to commit somewhere around that level. And when they get to Michael King, they're going to end up committing somewhere around $43 million in off-season money to arbitration-eligible players just to keep these guys on the roster.
And that's assuming that Michael King and the Padres come to an agreement on
either way,
on a one-year deal.
There will be a one-year deal with Michael King. It's inevitable. Whether they agree with each other or let an arbitration panel decide what the number is, he will be signed to a one-year deal unless they decide to scrap that and go with a long-term deal, which they could also do between now and the arbitration hearing, which would be next month. And we'll talk about it. Could this be the first time that A.J. Preller ever goes to an arbitration hearing as general manager of the San Diego Padres? Padres have not been to an arbitration hearing with a player since 2014 when they beat Andrew Kashner, I believe, I think Andrew Kashner won that one.
They beat him?
They beat him. Well, it's a courtroom contest.
Yeah.
You got one side and the other. Someone wins and someone loses, which is, I think, why A.J. Preller doesn't really like doing this, because even if you win, then that means your player feels like he loses. He and his agent, you don't want your players to feel like they just lost heading right into the season. But then again, if you lose, you're now spending, more than you wanted to on a player, and that's budget that could go elsewhere. So we'll talk about
a problem.
The arbitration numbers yesterday that were reached and were not reached for the San Diego Padres.
You've got a problem.
You got a problem.
You've got a problem.
You got a problem.
You've got a problem.
Also going
Attention,
through
San Diego Padre fans. You got a problem.
Also, speaking of problems, new piece just dropped on The Athletic this morning from Ken Rosenthal and Dennis Lin, just kind of recapping the legal battle in ownership.
Quickly, before we dive into that, real quick. So just to clarify, the Michael King situation.
Yeah.
They're about $1.5 million apart.
Correct.
Okay. Didn't they save in arbitration about $1.5 million?
I mean, you don't. There's no.
Well, based on projections.
Based on projections, the Padres did here and there save a little bit with their other 5 players.
So I did see that yesterday. Somebody that's almost exactly the number that they saved. If they were, because you have a budget, like you do a budget. I don't do a budget, but at your budget, you're like, I budgeted $6,000 for this. I have only spent $4,000, which means I've got $2,000 left, which means I can spend that money or save it. And so I saw people yesterday. I saw a lot of hair on fire, Chicken Little, sky is falling, because they didn't get to that number yesterday. It does not mean that these guys are going to have to go sit in a room and hash out
Not yet.
Like, all right, here's a fun exercise.
Like, AJ still, to this moment, has not ever gone to
Correct.
arbitration with somebody.
What does a Michael King ARB hearing look like? Listen, you're too nice. Yeah, you're too kind, you're too handsome, and you're too well-spoken. You do too much charity work, and I think just generally your kind attitude is really infecting the clubhouse.
I think from a Padres perspective, it's more we love him, but the amount that he's asking for above what he made last season is just more than would be typical, even for as good of a season he had.
He had a monster season.
He's asking for too much of an increase from last year based on the precedent of arbitration and what's been set with other players in the past.
And the other thing to keep in mind, I was going to bring this up, but Kevin just did in the chat. He's in a weird situation, right? It's not a Dylan Cease type situation. Dylan Cease is a starting pitcher. Michael King is a newly converted starting pitcher. So maybe that's where that you try to, if you're the Padres, you try to, well, maybe I'll throw out a little bit lesser number, and we still believe in you, and we still think you will be a top of the rotation starter for us. But as we get this thing ramped up, we're going to start a little bit lower. And Janine says he deserves it. 1,000%. He was spectacular.
And it's not
year.
like he's getting 0 or $9 million. He's going to make either somewhere
7.5 or 8.5.
7.325 up to 8.8. Those are the two numbers that were exchanged. It'll either be one of those. They could still settle in the middle, or they, again, could reach a long-term contract, which, in this piece by Dennis Lynn and Ken Rosenthal, that is the desire still. They would love to sign Michael King
long-term
to a long-term extension. Is it possible right now, and also, remain where they are in overall payroll? And this is why I think, why would you fight over, $1.5 million at this point?
With a Michael King.
You're right on that cutoff of the luxury tax. And that $1.5 million may be the difference of whether you end up under it or over it at the end of the season. So it may be worth it to the Padres to fight a little bit harder just to save $1 million here and $1 million there, because it could end up being the difference of whether you trip the luxury tax penalties or not, which no team wants to trip the luxury tax penalties by, $500,000 at the end of the season. If you're that close, you want to be under. If you're going to go over,
go over.
Go 15 million over, see what you're going to do. But at the moment, Padres are very close to it, and I would imagine every dollar does have to be accounted for at this moment.
Yeah, I agree with you in spirit there, and you're not wrong by any stretch. I do think, rooting for this team to get under the luxury tax is not something I'm equipped to do or want to do at all. I'm not rooting for the financial health of the San Diego Padres. I realize that, you do have to be judicious at times, and it's not like we're paying for some past transgressions here. I think we can all agree on that. There were some contracts doled out that probably shouldn't have been, and that's okay. That happens to every single team in baseball. Nobody does it 100% right all the time. But as you are going to, A, continue to carry out Peter's vision, as you are going to, B, contend for a World Series championship, scrapping over $1.5 million in January is kind of a tough look. I think they can get it done.
I know what you're saying, and let me put it this way: if you went $2 million over the luxury tax, the penalties would be a pittance. They'd be almost nothing.
Almost nothing.
It'd be a fraction of a fraction. It would be nothing. However, you would have, for $2 million, then set yourself up for next year, multiplying those penalties. Correct. Where if you did go over, then you would all of a sudden be costing yourself a ton.
Correct.
So you never want your team to be just a little skosh over, because you're not paying this year, but you're setting yourself up for future penalties and really discouraging the team then from ever spending money next year, because then they're really going to take it with big taxation if they try to go above the luxury tax next year.
And conversely to that entire point, if you don't go over the luxury tax, I think that's a problem. Like, I think if you're trying to dance under the luxury tax and go into 2025 with what you got right now, I think that's a problem as well. You got to spend, man. Everyone saw the tweet, and we all got the emails yesterday that season tickets are sold out. These fans they want a winner. They want a winner. They want a team that's going to spend and compete.
Well, when we come back, let's talk about what the Padres did and did not get done yesterday. We'll go through those numbers, and I'll explain a little more on the process of what Michael King is going to be facing with the San Diego Padres potentially over this next month in the possible first arbitration hearing ever in the A.J. Preller era. First, though, Woods is going to tell you a little bit about Underdog Fantasy.
Yes, sir. California sports fan. Got good news. Underdog available to play here in our state. It's the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going to go off? Which ones are ice cold? I got 3 out of 6 right yesterday. Now, I had watching that game last night, a lot of injuries mounted up. It's fine, man. I didn't put a lot down, but I always have a blast. And they do live updates in there, so you know exactly where your player is. Oh, you need him for 130 yards? He's at 117 yards. Underdog app is the easiest one that I've ever done, and I've done them all. I'm having a blast with it. Gonna really dive into the NFL picks probably tonight when I get home, going through making my picks for the weekend. Should be a lot of fun. Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with the promo code WOODS. That's so I get credit for getting you. I won't get any money for it or anything, but they say, hey, Woodsy's getting some people over here to Underdog. That's why we do that, guys. Underdog app, use the promo code WOODS, deposit now. You will get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WOODS. Must be 18 and over. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to ncpgambling.org.
Arbitration is definitely a weird process. In fact, the argument's been made a few times that maybe we should just get rid of this in Major League Baseball. But, ultimately, the players like their ability to increase their salary before they hit free agency.
Sure.
That's basically why it was negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement.
Because if not, imagine this. Imagine Jackson Merrill is a good example. So Jackson Merrill comes up last year as a rookie. He's making the league minimum. And he has the monster season he has. Then he comes out this year and he has a monster season. And then he comes out the next year and he has a monster season. And then a monster.
This is Jackson Merrill.
And he's making $700,000 each year. Good money, certainly. But he's like, hey, do you guys want to keep me here? Should we be talking about a long-term extension? Yeah, we'll get to it. We still have you for 2 more years of control, and you're making the same amount of money. So you can absolutely see the risk-reward for a player of going, man, I sure hope I don't have to go into that room and get raked over the coals for an extra couple $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, whatever it is. But you know why they want to do it, and it does make sense. And guys can make good money in ARB, as you saw yesterday.
Yeah, Juan Soto was making almost $30 million in ARB.
I think Soto was
last year
31, and Shohei was 30, and Vladdy Jr. was 28.5 yesterday.
So based on the agreements that the Padres did reach yesterday, Luis Arraez in his final arbitration eligible season will make $14 million, which was right around the projection. And it's a big number for Luis Arraez. That's a number the Padres probably would like to have cut down a little bit, but because of that arbitration process, they knew he was going to get somewhere around there, so they ended up settling and finding the number that worked for both of them. Dylan Cease will receive $13.75 million, raised from last season, as he should. Finished 4th in the National League Cy Young voting and has proven himself for his last year of arbitration. Jason Adam, one of the better relievers in baseball, got $4.8 million for his arbitration number. Adrian Morejon, $2 million. That actually feels like a bargain based on how he contributed last year. And then Luis Camposano got $1 million, which is now only about $200,000 above the major league minimum, and that's reflected because Luis Camposano finished the year in AAA. Did not take a step forward in 2024, so he doesn't get a big raise, but gets that guaranteed and will remain with the Padres going forward. The guy, of course, that they failed to reach the agreement with was Michael King. A little further apart in their offers, the Padres offer $7.325 million to Michael King. King and his agent have come back with a number of $8.8 million. And here's how it's going to work. If the Padres and Michael King do not agree to a contract before whenever the arbitration hearing date is set, and it's usually in the first couple of weeks of spring training, we'll go into the room. We've talked about this. Both sides will get to present for an hour each their case as to why they think their number is more representative and accurate for the salary that he should deserve that season. A panel of 3 arbiters will then decide. And if they feel like Michael King is worth anywhere more than the halfway point, which is $8.0625 million, then Michael King gets $8.8 million. If they think he's worth like $8 million, then the Padres win and he'll get $7.325 million. They can't pick a number in between those two. It has to be either the Padres number or Michael King's number. He will make one of those two numbers in arbitration, which is why it's now a little more difficult for the two sides to come together for a 1-year deal.
Right.
Because if the Padres are offering, let's say the Padres say, all right, we think you're worth $8.1 million, and we'll settle for that. Michael King will go, well, if you think I'm worth $8.1 million, then the arbitrators will also think I'm worth $8.1 million, and they'll have to give me $8.8 million.
Yeah, 8.8.
Now, if the Padres say we'll give you $8 million, and the King's side will say, well, if the Padres win at $8 million, then I only get $7.325. So it's really hard at this point now come up with a 1-year deal, which is why oftentimes attention will turn to maybe just extending a long-term contract.
Yeah, or even a 3-year deal. Something like that.
Okay, but
longer.
This all does not it's not black and white. It does not mean that things are about to get contentious. The Padres have no interest in locking up Michael King. They're trying to do him wrong, right?
No, not at all.
No,
I mean, who knows how ugly things get. We talked yesterday about how Josh Hader felt, slighted and offended by the case that the Milwaukee Brewers made against him at arbitration. It's certainly not a fun process to have your employer go in and point out the things that you're deficient at and, areas where you don't meet up to their expectations and why they don't think you deserve quite as much as you think your side deserves. So it's not fun, and it's probably not a feel-good process. But if you have a normally thick skin and understand this is just part of the business, there's no reason why it should ruin the relationship between two sides.
So in the last segment, you were pointing out how, maybe that $1.5 million actually makes a huge difference, like that they're saving with the luxury tax and all that. Is it possible that AJ can say, look, Michael, here's our situation. Like, this is why we're doing this. We want you long term. We're going to work something out. This is why this has to be. And it doesn't have to get, you showed up late that one time and get all nitpicky.
Right. I'm sure that Michael King understands. He reads the situation and knows, Padres are trying to save a little money. And they just, it's not that they've made no offer. They've offered him $7.325 million. He thinks he's worth $8.8. And this is how the process works.
He made $3.15 million in 24. It's a good raise either way. But no, I mean, get your worth. Get what you think you're worth. And he did everything asked of him and then some next year. Again, you look at the guys on that list and you see a guy that's well deserving of a raise. You don't want this. You don't want this to get ugly at all with a guy of Michael King's caliber. My silly copium that I'm smoking right now is that, they're off, $1.5 million here, but they're going to work out a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal or something to keep Michael King here for the next few. That's my hope.
That would be nice. The question now is, do the Padres have the flexibility to do it at the moment, considering everything that's swirling around? And, the piece that, I'm still kind of going through it that came out in The Athletic this morning certainly raises some questions, things that we have already kind of addressed. The fact that, the ownership situation that's going on right now, they talk to, anonymous, ownership type sources around the league, and everyone says, well, that's obviously not great for the San Diego Padres. Whoever emerges eventually as the owner or, if there is a sale, it brings a lot of uncertainty for the future for the San Diego Padres. I think we all recognize that. There's no way around the fact that when you have one member of a family suing the other member of the family for control of the team, it's going to bring a lot of uncertainty in the situation. And it's definitely going to make the job that A.J. Preller has to do, whether it's extending players, whether it's creating a 5-year plan, difficult with that amount of uncertainty swirling around ownership at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't read the piece yet. We were kind of skimming through it during the break, but is there any new information in there?
Not really. It's just a recap of everything that's happened and just some opinions from anonymous people about, what could happen and, where the Padres stand. They did say, according to current ownership sources, so Eric Katsenda is still the interim control person. The Padres are not unable to sign people. There's, the narrative that Padres can't, that, AJ's hands are tied and he can't make moves.
They will not sign another player until this all gets settled in 2 years.
They said in the piece. That's not true.
Okay.
Now, maybe it's informing some of their slow-moving decisions, but there's no reason they can't go out and make some moves here. No one's saying, AJ, you can't do anything at all until we get this figured out. That's not the case according to this piece. This is just currently the strategy that they're operating under, that they have been moving slowly this offseason and have yet to find the right moves that they do want to make. But I would still expect some of those moves to be made in the next few weeks before spring training starts.
Interesting. Yeah, for now it says the Padres are saying it's business as usual. Even as important dates loom on the calendar, Sasaki can sign with the team as soon as next week. The league's owner, sources said, could vote on John Seidler's candidacy for control person before pitchers and catchers report for spring training, which is about, 30 days away?
Yep.
30 days away. San Diego has still not made a trade or guaranteed any money in free agency. The coming weeks should help reveal the true state of affairs. Oof. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this all changes. If we get to spring training and the Padres haven't signed a single, player, they haven't added an outfielder, a catcher, a pitcher, they don't get Sasaki, nothing's been done. All right, then you can start, raising some red flags as to, okay, what the heck is going on? At this point, as they said, business as usual. All right, well, business as usual the last 4 years has been much more aggressive and active.
Different business.
But baseball off-season business as usual doesn't require you to make any moves, by January 10th.
Right.
You can make moves all the way into spring training and beyond. And A.J. Preller has done that pretty much every offseason. Sometimes he makes moves earlier. Oftentimes he makes moves later. In that sense, business as usual continues. That, A.J. is on the phone with other GMs. He is still talking to agents. He is not sitting in an office doing nothing, like scrolling, surfing the internet all day going, well, I can't do anything, so, play a little online poker until someone tells me I'm allowed to do something this offseason. His business seems to be operating as normal. He just hasn't been able to come up with, the right contract for the right player, at any point yet this offseason.
Is that your opinion?
I think that's my very strong and educated opinion as to what's going on at the moment. Because clearly he hasn't been given a blank checkbook to go out and, hey, we don't care how much you spend, just go out and make the team better. Clearly, no one has told him that.
Because there's a line in here that jumped off the page for me. And again, we're referencing the piece in The Athletic just dropped by Dennis Lynn and Ken Rosenthal, old pal Ken Rosenthal. It says, in the meantime, the Padres must grapple with significant uncertainty or at least the perception of it. The perception, Ben, is that scenario you just laid out. The perception is that AJ is like, and not for a lack of want to or a lack of energy or effort. It's like, I'll just wait until you guys give me the go-ahead. Look, there's still some moves. Before all of this came out, Luis Ariz was still a trade candidate. Robert Suarez was still a trade candidate. Jake Cronenworth was still a trade candidate. There were even mentions early on a few weeks ago about Xander Bogaerts being a trade candidate. There's still Dylan Cease has been a big trade candidate. So they got a couple of those guys at least locked down so the other team knows if they're going to trade for him, this is what we got to pay him. So that kind of part of the step, you could get yourself more flexibility by moving a couple of pieces. I don't know which ones make the most sense. We've discussed all of them ad nauseum. Does it make sense to move on from Luis Ariz? Maybe, if the package is right. Does it make sense to move on from Dylan Cease? Maybe. It would. That would hurt me the most, just because you need those innings. Does it make sense to move on from Robert Suarez? Maybe.
Yeah, and they bring up all of those guys as potential trade candidates, and Jake Cronenworth as well. Yep. But he said league sources said the Padres recently indicated they would prefer to hold on to at least Ariz, but his newly agreed upon $14 million salary, as of yesterday, poses a potential obstacle to addressing other areas of the roster.
Yeah, and then, the anonymous quotes, the industry veteran quotes, nothing good is going to come of this. Even the combatant that wins is not going to look good. I disagree with the fact that, nothing good can come of this. Something good can come of it. It can. Now, it depends on how it all shakes out. Anytime something like this is played out and litigated publicly, it's not great. It's not great for any party. There are parties that look good and there are parties that don't look good. And, I don't know how it's all going to shake out. I have no idea. But one thing, and they bring this up in the article as well, and this is Dennis Lynn and Ken Rosenthal saying, they scoffed at the notion that the San Diego Padres would be relocated, and I tend to agree with that. But what they didn't address is that the San Diego Padres could be sold at some point. And I think that is something that maybe looms. Could that eventually be a good thing? Who knows?
Let's talk about a potential sale. First, we'll check traffic, and we got a few more minutes this hour. We can broach that topic and what they said here. Coming up next on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Definitely looking at Friday-like conditions, guys. Nothing's really kicked in out of the South Bay just yet. The trip out of Santee, seeing a little brake light activity west 52. And so far, South 15, South 5, still working for you coming down from the North County. I'm Kelly Danica with Fandom Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So the reality of, ownership of professional sports is that a team, it really can always be sold. There's no guarantee that your owner's going to keep your team forever. In fact, it's almost guaranteed that eventually teams will get sold. And they bring up the point that this just happened to the Baltimore Orioles about 3 years ago when one brother, Angelo's brother, sued the other. They ended up having to settle, and then they ended up selling to David Rubenstein, who's the new owner of the Baltimore Orioles. Could that happen in the Padres' circumstances? Yeah, I think that's something you have to prepare yourself for. Now, you don't have to think of that as necessarily the worst case outcome, though. The good news is that the Padres are in a such better state of affairs than they were a decade ago. They've turned themselves into a much more attractive product, an attractive business.
What's the market cap on those guys?
Yeah,
They're worth like $2 billion now.
Yeah, this team is going to be worth more, and anyone who would be interested in buying it would have to have extremely deep pockets. No one's coming in and scooping up the Padres on the cheap and, squeezing the cash out of it. If someone wanted to buy the Padres, they do it because they are passionate about baseball and want to get into the business of baseball, and likely because they want to win a World Series. So I don't really have any fear that whatever happens going forward, that the Padres, like in the 1990s, are going to get sold to someone like Tom Werner, who's then going to have a fire sale and then going to have to resell the team.
It could happen. The thing that bums me out, though.
Yeah, but we're not really seeing that. The teams that are getting bought nowadays, like the Orioles,
right.
The guys are saying, "I'm excited. I want to win."
The
now,
Mets, Steve Cohen. I get it. But it doesn't. There's no guarantee that, Jeff Bezos is going to come in here and go, "I'm ready to spend whatever I can to get this team a winner." There's the thing that bums me out. Peter told us this. He told everybody when he was alive. The Padres are staying in the Seidler family for years to come, decades to come. So if that doesn't happen, we're not exactly doing what his legacy or what his wishes were, no matter who ends up with.
Yeah, we know that for sure. That's true.
Like he said it. He told us we're not going anywhere, right? We're staying in the Seidler family. These guys
We're not going anywhere.
We got to get these dudes on the same page. We got to figure it out. But so could it be detrimental if you sell to the wrong person? Sure, but I think just the act of selling the San Diego Padres to somebody else immediately, Benny, wipes out kind of what we were talking.
I think overall in pro sports they've been kind of weeding out the wrong person.
I agree.
Though,
I do agree
in ownership.
I do. That is such a good point. And until somebody shows up at Bob Nutting's door with a check or.
The old one, the guys who have owned and inherited teams, John Fisher,
yes.
The old ones have been problems. The Dean Spanoses, the longtime family ones, some of those are still around.
The new blood.
But all the new owners,
they want to win.
They want to win. That's why they've gotten into it, and they have extremely deep pockets. And, will not get into this business thinking, oh, yeah, this looks like a really good investment that I'm going to make. They're probably going to get in because they want to play. I want to play poker at the big table with the big teams. And, the Padres are now one of those high-level teams. It's worth a lot of money that if they bought them, that they're immediately, anteing in for an incredible amount of money. It wouldn't make any sense to tear that down or do anything that would damage the product if you're going to buy the team right now.
Yeah,
so.
100%. I've seen all the rumors that have come out in the last few days. I've had many people ask me questions, and I've said it from the get-go. I don't know any other of the Seidler brothers. I knew Peter very well, and we know Tom Seidler very, very well, and I knew Sheil Seidler. That's it. That's the Seidler extent. I've met the kids, but I've never met anybody else. I've never seen them. I've never heard from them other than these statements recently. I can't speak to it. I can't speak to what he wants to do. If he is in fact named control person in a couple of weeks before pitchers and catchers report, I have no idea, Ben, what John Seidler's vision is. None. Zero. I I haven't heard a word.
Yeah, and I would expect that he would have to at some point
Yes.
lay that out for everybody.
No question.
That would be, imperative, I would imagine, to smooth things out and calm fears among the fan base that you're going to have to
because there are
come
many.
out and show what you're all about.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're all about at some point. Now, I would say it's unlikely to hear from that until they go through the process of approval. That's not going to play out publicly. Any statements you make right now probably are not in the best interest of the business. So they're going to get through this behind the scenes, and then at some point, as we get closer to the season, I'd imagine we'll learn more about John Seidler and what their vision is of the Padres going forward.
Maybe. Right? Maybe.
Maybe. See. All right, we are 1 hour in. We will come back. We have Don't Do This in our 7 o'clock hour. Paulie wanted to bring up this weird tweet from the Storm as well next on the Fan. Oh, those wacky minor league baseball social media departments. They are just a barrel of laughs all the time.
This one got me. Got me good.
Yeah, I saw this
What's
too.
going on?
You know, and I followed the Lake Elsinore Storm account for years, Padres single A affiliate. And yesterday afternoon, they tweeted out a short video. It says, January 15th seems to be a pretty important date for the biggest Padres fan in our office. And it's a video of a guy wearing kind of a brown and gold polo shirt, and one of his coworkers kind of rubbing him on the shoulder, saying, one more week.
One more week.
And he goes to this whiteboard that has like a Wordle, but it's a storm dole, and it's 6 letters, and clearly it's leading toward the word Sasaki. And then they show him looking at the video of Roki Sasaki
The other
on his
guy,
laptop.
the guy that was rubbing his back is
Yeah.
looking at pitching videos of Roki Sasaki.
Yes.
And then there's, it's ROKISASAKI, and they've got a couple of letters filled in, and you look at that and you infer that, what?
January 15th.
It's Roki Sasaki Day. That's the day that the international bonus pool money frees up, and you are able to then go out and if he picks your team, you will have Roki Sasaki. But he won't be a member of the Lake Elsinore Storm, which is, I get, like, they're excited about him too, part of the organization, but it was brazen. I don't like to make a lot of big movements. You didn't hear me talking a lot of trash yesterday before the Notre Dame game, right? I wait till after the game. I've learned that. That's wisdom. That's what's in. You do it after. You run your mouth. You get brazen after you win. After you get them. Yes.
I think the thought was, do they know something that everybody else doesn't know? And my conclusion is no. I think this is simply
correct.
Simply hijinks and doing a bit, and looking for some off-season content on a quiet social media account.
I think everybody asks
months away
what do
from
they
games.
know, because we want them to know something.
Correct.
They know
Because
nothing.
We don't want it to be the bragging before it happens type video.
That's why I
that has
really
bitten us in the ass time after time after time.
It's why I last year was so vehement. Like, I don't want any raps. I don't want any, don't do any songs. Don't do any auto-tune songs for the Padres run. Don't make a promo that says that you've slayed the dragon when you actually haven't slayed the dragon. Don't do that yet. Don't air it.
At least don't air it.
Don't air it.
You know how much AJ Preller tells the social media department of the Lake Elsinore Storm? Possibly even less than he tells us, which doesn't even seem possible.
Which that's not possible.
But there's no communication there. They are not in possession of any proprietary information or any inside scoop that they think, we know something that you don't know.
Now,
this is simply fill in a little content with, months away from baseball games being played.
It's funny. Over the last few years, I've learned about manifesting, right? And I've learned the power of the mind. And I've learned, something I'm very interested in. I've learned if I want something, I can get it, right? And put it out in the universe, right? I would like to reserve manifestation for things other than sports. Does that make sense? Like, it's fine to. I think it's fair to tweet, man, I sure would love if Roki Sasaki joined the team. Fine, that's your wish. You want that to happen. But Roki Sasaki is going to be a Padre. I'm putting it out in the universe, and here's a rap to back it up. I don't think so.
I think the power of positive thinking has
great.
a place in everybody's life. You
Yes.
know? If you want something badly, envision yourself getting there. It will help you on the road.
It's helped me tremendously.
If you want Roki Sasaki to be a Padre, though, you envisioning it is not going to help at all.
No.
There's no power of positive thinking, as you said, that's going to help the San Diego Padres
land
Roki Sasaki from the fan base.
I do the power of positive thinking and manifestation in my life, like outside of sports. I do not do it. I do not do it. I go the other way. I go, it's not going to happen. We're not going to win this game. There's no chance it happens. And then I'm pleasantly surprised when we did, just like last night. I said on the air yesterday, we're going to lose by 30. If, now that we're in the championship game, whoever we play, they're going to beat us by 30. That's how I feel when it comes to sports. Life, different. Different, completely different. I would like to go here. I would like to, you guys know my long-term plan. I want to move to Paris someday and spend a summer there, traveling Europe. That's going to happen.
Picture it in your head.
I picture it every day. I'm going to start getting ducks in a row. I only want to do the whole family swap, right? Like you come stay at our house in San Diego, we'll stay in your apartment in Paris as a family, and you have a great summer here, we'll have a great summer there. That's going to happen. I'm going to make that happen.
Are you going to bring the equipment?
No, I think I'll be retired at that point.
All right, just wondering.
It's 4:00 right now, so you'd be what, 3 to 7 p.m.
In Paris?
Yeah.
Maybe I will bring the
Not the
equipment.
worst idea.
That's not the worst idea. That is not the worst idea.
So
so I manifest things like that all the time.
Yeah,
but I'm not
but
going to
not-
manifest Roki Sasaki and put it on the internet.
There's only one thing we can do when it comes to the pursuit of Roki Sasaki as a Padres fan base.
Drink heavily.
And wait.
And wait.
And wait. Another 5 days.
Fans love to wait.
And it's probably, honestly, going to be another 7 or 8 days. I doubt. I mean, it's possible that we'll find out on the 15th, but it might be a few days after that,
Yeah.
to be truthful. Our friend David Schoenfield of ESPN.com. I don't know if you guys saw this piece yesterday. I'm hoping you didn't.
I did not.
Because I want to see if you can guess it. So he ranked the worst mistake every Major League Baseball team has made since 2020.
Oh, that's good.
And he just picked one for each team. So I want you guys to try to guess. What do you think the worst mistake? And some of them are trades, some of them are signing, some of them are on-field decisions, that the manager made in a key situation, in a key game. What would you say is the...
So this is really broad.
It's very broad.
This isn't worst contract because...
Very broad.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's not the worst contract. It's not the worst, transaction. It's just the worst mistake that he thinks each team made since 2020.
Not going to Hater in 2022.
Oh, that's not a bad one.
Good one.
Not a bad call. That's a really good one. He didn't bring that one up, but Paulie, I love that call.
That's a great call.
My immediate reaction.
Xander Bogaerts
was-
contract. Yeah.
He mentions the the long-term contracts, including Xander Bogaerts, and says, those will sort themselves out at some point. But it seems a little early to absolutely call those
Torch
a
it.
huge mistake right now. So here's what he picked. He said starting Dylan Cease on short rest in Game 4 of the NLDS. And he said, maybe in the end it didn't matter. Padres got shut out in the final 2 games. But you knew that Dylan Cease had never started in his career on 3 days rest. 0. And the postseason track record for pitchers on short rest isn't good. 4.24 ERA over the past 10 postseasons. Padres were ahead in the series. No reason to take an unconventional risk. Yes, manager Mike Shildt still had Darvish on regular rest to start Game 5. Didn't leave a great option for his 4th starter, but win Game 4, you don't need Game 5, lose, and you still have Cease to start Game 5.
In hindsight, I don't know that that's the most egregious thing that the team has ever done in the last.
I know. I mean, this is obviously very subjective and
I would
a matter
say
of opinion.
shuffling the lineup would have made more sense.
Not shuffling the lineup is a big mistake.
as the choice. Yeah, I would say that over those last 2 games or whatever.
I was so bummed, man.
Scoring a run.
I mean, again, it was It was going to be Martin Perez, or you could have gotten. You saw how creative the Dodgers got with 1.5 starting pitchers that they had. We also had a really locked down bullpen. I mean, a really locked down bullpen.
You could have started Jason Adams.
You could have started Jason
and then
Moore,
gone to Suarez in the 4
and Adrian Morejon. Like you could have gotten creative. It's dicey.
The one thing, and we talked about it at the time, and I still, you'll never know what would have happened. But had the Padres gone with a bullpen game or Martin Perez and lost Game 4, would you have started Dylan Cease or you Darvish in Game 5? I think you probably would have started Cease.
You probably would have started
Darvish
Cease.
was excellent.
He was phenomenal.
He was excellent.
Phenomenal. Gave up 2 solo shots.
And the thought that you Darvish may have not pitched again in that series also could have been a huge mistake.
Correct.
Had they gone that direction. So ultimately, the blame for the Padres not beating the Dodgers goes on the offense disappearing.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it goes on Mike Shildt. He was left with 3 not ideal options for Game 4. Martin Perez, bullpen day, or Dylan Cease on short rest.
Yeah.
He went with the one that had the biggest upside.
Yeah.
His best pitcher, because I think he wanted Yu Darvish to pitch in Game 5 at Dodger Stadium, where he had pitched so well and wanted to be there.
And that was the right call because he pitched his ass off.
And had you lost Game 5 with Martin or Game 4 with Martin Perez,
with a bullpen
game, and then went with Darvish, even if he pitched well and lost Game 5, you don't think that everyone would have been going, "You didn't pitch Dylan Cease at all again in that series"?
Yeah.
That would have been a hard thing to do.
Yeah, Game 4 or 5, as Steve says, wouldn't matter if the guys couldn't put runs on the board. He actually said points, but I didn't want to embarrass him, so I changed it to runs.
Would you like to know what the Dodgers' biggest mistake was? It's not hardly much. Trading for Lance Lynn and then starting him with the season on the line in 2023.
What a life.
It's nice when that's... And then the worst mistake by any team, his number one ranked mistake, he said for the Angels, keeping Shohei Ohtani at the trade deadline.
No doubt.
In 2023 and not getting anything for him.
Nothing. What would that package?
Well, they did get a compensatory draft pick.
Yeah, it's a comp pick. It's staggering. Staggering. What would they have gotten for him?
I mean, again,
probably not much.
Again, it was a rental, but it would have been something. I mean,
it's better than nothing.
A package of top prospects.
But they should have traded him the year before that.
100%.
2 years, they were going nowhere. They could have traded him with a year and a half, or 2.5 years, like when we got Soto. That's not just a rental, and then you get a huge return.
Do you feel like if the Angels had faced reality in the middle of the Padres, big spending push, that AJ Preller would have done anything at that point to acquire Shohei Ohtani from the Angels? I do too.
Very, very much.
If he had been available in 2022
that would have been the call.
And the Angels have gone, we know we're not going to be able to sign this guy, he would have packaged the Soto package, probably would have been the Ohtani package.
Correct.
The Angels weren't making him available, obviously, but I can definitely see that alternate universe in which Shohei Ohtani was a Padre for a couple of seasons there.
Had we had the DH, he probably could have been here still.
Originally.
Yes.
Yeah. But AJ, I don't think ever lost that dream of making Ohtani a Padre. But then when he became a free agent, no matter what, I don't think the Padres were hitting $700 million for Shohei Ohtani.
No, sir, I agree with you.
All right, we've got Don't Do This is coming up next, Woods, and someone that was at the game last night that you probably thought didn't need to be at the game last night.
I thought this was a bit disappointing by ESPN. They need to nip this Lee Corso situation in the bud before it gets dangerous as it did last night.
Now we got some birthday shout-outs as well coming up. First, I want to tell you about SDFatLoss.com. Right now, until the end of January, you can take advantage of their New Year's special. Get $200 off the program. I got a ton of compliments yesterday when we were out playing golf at Torrey Pines. Hey, Ben, you still look great. I have lost 40 pounds, did it in 60 days, and I've kept the weight off for a year and a half thanks to the great strategies that I learned from SDFatLoss.com, my terrific counselor. They have a great team. They have a great app. Really made it easy for me not only to lose the weight, but to maintain, keep the weight off. For me, the difference was I didn't have to rely on shakes or bars or mixes. I was eating real food. So when the time came to kind of get back into my normal routine and just maintain the weight, it was so much easier. I mean, it's just been a life changer for me. I feel so much better, more energy. I sleep better. My pain, back pain, knee pain has gone down to almost nothing. I love it. I absolutely love it. If you want to feel the way that I did, all you have to do is set up a free consultation by going to SDFatLoss.com and find out how the program can work for you. No injections, no hormones, nothing extra to buy. Just the program and a new you in the new year. So again, take advantage of their New Year special. Get $200 off now through January 31st by going to SDFatLoss.com and setting up your free consultation at SDFatLoss.com.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Don't do this on a Friday is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info.
Yeah, I was watching I'll get it started, Benny. I was watching the pregame for the college football playoff game last night, and they went to the ESPN panel, and you got Herb Street, and you got McAfee, and you got Desmond Howard, and you got Nick Saban, the whole thing, and they got, of course, Lee Corso is out there. He is 89 years old, and I don't want this to come off as ageist or anything like that, but Lee Corso, he's had some health struggles over the years. It's fine, man. Let the guy give his take, whatever. I don't know that it's the smartest thing to do to have him out there dancing with the Notre Dame Leprechaun. Taking. He's dancing a jig. Having fun. Then he almost crashes out. Falls backwards. Kind of loses his balance a little bit.
Luckily, the leprechaun guy caught him.
The leprechaun, there it is. Leprechaun guy catches him, gets him back on his feet. Again, if you're going to I know that's his bit. He puts on the costume. He does the whole thing. Man, it made my heart hurt for a minute.
Do you know the history of Lee Corso here in San Diego?
No. I just saw something in the chat. What happened?
So this was long ago, 1992, when Marshall Faulk had his amazing freshman season for the Aztecs, including a 386-yard rushing game. Got a lot of attention, was thought of as potentially the Heisman Trophy winner. But Lee Corso, who was an ESPN analyst even back then, was the lead cheerleader for Gino Torretta, the Miami quarterback. Oh. Gino Torretta, they were getting ready to play Alabama in the Sugar Bowl for the national championship. Lee was all in on Gino Torretta and didn't even have Marshall Faulk on his ballot. Wow. And kind of swayed, they think, the voting nationally. Now, Torretta, as they said, looked like a junior high quarterback against Alabama in that game. Had a horrible game. Marshall Faulk ended up finishing second in the Heisman voting to Gino Torretta in what a lot of people think was maybe the biggest snub in Heisman Trophy history.
I can get behind that.
I was reading this piece, though, from years ago in New Orleans on Marshall Faulk, and it said something Faulk never forgot. He said, though, not winning the Heisman was probably the best thing that happened to me. Gave me that extra drive, the drive that got me through college when people didn't think I could play running back. He was recruited mostly as a defensive back, and the Aztecs were the only team that thought he could be a running back. Yeah. And he was not even on the starting squad, but the starter got hurt. They put him in the first game, 386 rushing yards, still a freshman record.
Good God.
Says that motivation that got me through the NFL when people questioned whether I was going to be a good player because I didn't win the Heisman, it fueled the fire throughout my whole career. So you can blame Lee Corso or you can credit Lee Corso for Marshall Faulk's career.
Sean makes a really good point here. He said Lee also cost Notre Dame the championship in 1993. He voted for Florida State, who Notre Dame beat that year in the game of the century. I'll never forget it. Notre Dame lost on that last-second field goal to Boston College, and Corso went with Florida State, who, in fact, had lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame finished second, so yeah.
Ugly story here involving Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jermaine Burton. Of course, their season is over, but this happened back on December 30th, and the news just coming out now as reported, ESPN obtaining the police report. Burton allegedly broke into the home of a woman he was seeing hours after the two had been out drinking at 1 a.m., according to an emergency call made to Cincinnati police at 8 a.m. The 19-year-old woman told police that Burton choked her in the hallway of her apartment complex. She also said Burton broke into her residence, grabbed a knife from her dishwasher, held it to his own neck, and threatened to kill himself. Oh my God. She told police that Burton then broke her phone and left. According to the police report, it's the second time that he's broken my phone in the past month. He broke my phone, hit me, and he left. The rookie did not travel with the team to the regular season finale against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was called a coach's decision at the time.
And it was the second time this season that he did not travel with the team because of some issues. He had a lot of issues in college, Ben. He started at Georgia, transferred to Alabama. He was caught on video striking a female fan who rushed the field. That was one of many things that he had gotten in trouble for in college. And then, listen, it happens way more than we know. But Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, said, "Oh no, I asked many people about his character. We were confident in the culture we have here in Cincinnati to help turn him around, and we loved the tape. We got to know the person. We feel really good about the pick. So far, not so good for Jermaine Burton. One of those guys like, hey man, you got to figure out what you want to be. You got to figure out what you want to be. It's a privilege, not a right to play in the NFL. You got to figure out what you want to be.
Yeah, not a good start to his NFL career this season.
All right, this is a bit self-serving, but I have to do it anyway.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to the head football coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What a night for him last night. At midnight, he turned
28.
39 years old, man. 39 years old.
Just turned. Wow.
And this is after winning that game last night. How freaking cool is that?
That makes for a good party.
You win the Orange Bowl, and then the clock strikes midnight, and you turn 39, and you've just led a team that lost in Northern Illinois to the championship, which is just baffling to me still.
I heard, I was listening, of course, to
Maggie and
Perloff on the way in.
What did Perloff have to say?
It wasn't Perloff, actually. It was their guest. It was the guy from You Better You Bet that they have on Fridays. And he said, for some reason, it's just easier to follow a handsome guy, whether it's a coach or a quarterback.
or a radio
It's
host.
helpful. It's helpful to be handsome. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Marcus Freeman is undoubtedly like a handsome fellow, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, he's well built. Looks like an actor.
Dude.
He looks,
he's got aura.
He looks like an actor.
He's got Riz.
I mean, being young, still 39 doesn't hurt.
The message
I'm
hits
sure.
differently if Steve Buscemi's up there accepting the Orange Bowl trophy.
Charlie Weiss is up there accepting the Orange Bowl
They said
trophy.
the same thing for quarterbacks, like part of Joe Burrow, good-looking dude.
Josh Allen.
Helps,
Tom Brady.
Helps you lead. Tom Brady. There's another one.
All right, that's all right.
So,
let's get into this.
Like, who's the ugliest, most
All right,
successful
this is mean.
quarter? I'm not trying to be mean, but
Bernie Kosar, but
okay. Here's one, and I think he was. I know this is a little before my time, but he was always considered super handsome. Like he was on the magazines and everything back in the day. Joe Namath.
Namath, yeah.
I never got it. I didn't
did.
think he was that handsome.
He had what the kids call Big D energy.
All right.
When he walks out in the fur coat, I guarantee a Super Bowl win. Yeah. It's easier to. Okay.
Broadway Joe. I don't know.
The question then, is it easier to follow somebody that's attractive? The answer is undoubtedly yes.
Of course.
It's undoubtedly yes. Undoubtedly.
You're right. This is mean. I can't. You don't want to. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about coaches. Like, I thought he was a smart, really smart guy, and but he wasn't that dynamic, and he certainly wasn't. Like
Who?
Norv. Your guy, Norv. But he's, really smart guy, really smart coach. But I don't know if that was a leadership thing or what it was.
Purple says, I don't need to hear Wood say Riz ever again. Did I say Riz or did I say Aura? I think I said Aura.
You might have said Riz.
I think you might have.
I thought I said
thrown in a
Aura.
Riz there.
He's got Aura. He's very dynamic. He's very dynamic. And happy birthday to you, Coach. Paulie, that's one of those, like, if you said, hey, we've got Marcus Freeman, I don't want to be on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll let you guys do it. I don't know what I would say. Ben, I'm looking at your camera right now, and you're yellow. You have jaundice on your camera. What is that about? Like, extremely jaundiced.
How's that?
Better.
Ring light was a little too yellow, maybe.
I guess I said both. All right, I said Riz and Aura.
Speaking of birthday wishes, just
Why
quickly.
can't I say Riz, by the way?
You can. You sound like you're trying too hard to be young.
All right.
Also, a happy birthday to one Sam Higgins, my younger brother.
Sammy!
Shares a
Love
birthday
Sammy.
apparently with Marcus Freeman.
Oh, I
Happy
love
birthday.
that.
January 10th.
Couple of legends.
Happy birthday to Sammy. Hope you have a good one.
Sammy, we love you, buddy.
And that is Don't and Do This for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, speaking of Marcus Freeman, we'll get into some of the details of last night's game and win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Question.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying in the chat, I'm too old to say it. It's not like Hacksaw saying Riz. Riz,
You're still on this?
Aura, you've got a problem. It's your Riz. It's your lack of aura.
You got a problem.
You've got a problem.
You got a problem.
You've got a problem. You've got no Riz. I don't think I'm too old to say Riz. I've got little kids.
Getting
San
close.
Diego Padre fans,
You've got a problem. You've got a problem.
You got a problem.
You got a problem. Caitlin says I'm fine.
What's the cutoff then? I mean,
Yeah,
next year
what,
when
is
you're
it
50?
50?
55? I mean,
I act like I'm 12. Leave me alone.
When's the Riz cutoff here?
Oldest state of mind.
All right, we'll talk
You've
college.
got a problem.
We'll talk college football in a moment. First, Woods.
What?
Underdog.
Underdog again. Very happy to be spreading the message of Underdog. If you're a California sports fan, Underdog is available to play right here in our state. The best place to cash in on all of your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going to go off? Which ones are ice cold? Didn't have a great night last night. I'm going to be honest with you, 100%. They're not all winners for you, but it sure is fun to play and kind of see where you're going. With their pick'em game, you could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. You guys know how it works: the yards, the touchdowns, interceptions, and more. If you think if you think this weekend Josh Allen's going to rack up higher than 234 yards in the playoffs, just click higher. Cook up some entries for a shot to win real cash prizes all playoff longs. And you can do golf. I'm going to do a little golf one for today. It's really a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun playing with it. You should check it out, too. If you're interested, Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app. Sign up with the promo code WOODS. Deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Use the promo code WOODS. Must be 18 and over, present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Definitely an interesting and entertaining game last night. First college football playoff semifinal, the Capital One Orange Bowl. Defenses dominated in the first half. No scoring in the first quarter, but Penn State was running the ball.
Oh, were they ever?
Moving it on the ground with Nicholas Singleton.
So good.
And, actually multiple ball carriers. And they put together that 90-yard drive to finally get the first touchdown of the game. They're up 10-0.
Yeah,
and
field goal first on a really, really poor throw from Drew Aller that hit his wide open running back in the flat, hit him in the knee. I mean, he gets that ball up a foot. It's easy 7, man. Easy 7.
So at that moment, there's 2:18 left in the first half. It's 10-0. I think a lot of people were thinking, and you might have even been one of them, this is not going to be Notre Dame's night.
I did. I thought, based on how well they were running the football against Notre Dame's defensive front, how out of sorts, actually, the Notre Dame defensive front looked, and just how gassed they were, it really started to – they had lost a couple guys early, too, and I was looking at that going, all right, well, here's where it comes into play that they haven't had the time off to not only prepare but to recover. So this is going to be almost impossible. This is not going to be our night, man. We're getting worked in the trenches on both sides. We can't run the football, and we can't stop the run. We're dead. We're dead.
And then Riley Leonard, the Irish quarterback, gets hit and is staggering around, and you look like, uh-oh, he's going into the concussion tent. He may be out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, my dude got up and started walking toward the other sideline, and they had to grab him by the shoulder, turn him around, send him to the Notre Dame sideline. Looked a little glassy-eyed. I know Steve Angeli, though. I knew at that point this is going to be a different look for Penn State. And Steve Angeli came in, I think he hit 6 of 7, and started moving the football. And Penn State was like they never prepared for anybody to throw a football in their life. They were back on their heels. They had no idea how to scheme it. Angeli saved Notre Dame's season.
Yeah,
saved it.
Led them to the field goal, which made it 10-3 at the half. But with Notre Dame getting the ball to start the half, they were back within a score, and they capitalized right away, going down the field. 71 yards, 10 plays for it was 75 yards, 8 plays for their first touchdown of the game.
My reaction when that happened, Well, first you start the second half with a false start penalty, and you're like, oh, my God. You just came out of the locker room. It was loud, man. There was a lot of Penn State fans. Their pass rush, you guys, was incredible. Incredible. I give so much credit to them, man. Abdul Carter is an amazing player. They were a really, really formidable opponent, dude. Really, really good. And when they scored, though, I said, all right, like, this is the Irish that I've grown accustomed to seeing. They just don't quit. And there we go, man. And from there, it was.
All right, well, it was for a while. They shut out Penn State in the third quarter.
Yep.
They scored, first minute of the fourth quarter to take their first lead at
14 minutes
17-10.
left. Yep.
And now it looks like Notre Dame has all the momentum, and they are going to cruise. But the game shifted again, and Penn State responded with back-to-back touchdowns,
Quick.
2 7-yard Nicholas Singleton touchdown runs. You had the turnover in between there that cost Notre Dame mightily, and all of a sudden they go from up 17-10 to down 24-17, and they're truly now facing the end of the season. They're down 7. There's only about six minutes left in the game, and if they don't do something on that drive, likely it's going to be it for Notre Dame. But, of course, they come through with, a bit of a fluky play. The defensive back slips, falls down. Jaden Greathouse takes it 54 yards. He also made a great move to beat that last guy and make it ankle breaker. That was really cool. Tied it at 24. And that brings us here to the end game, which was very interesting. Notre Dame gets a stop, gets the ball back. You're thinking, oh, they're going to go down. But then Penn State stops them, and they punt it. And now Penn State has the ball, but there's, about a minute left in the game. And it's that whole, should we be aggressive, try to win it in regulation, or do we want to not make a mistake and potentially give Notre Dame a chance to win it in regulation? And that's when Drew Aller, I would say, made the mistake of the college football season with the throw.
Back across his body in the middle of the field.
Falling backwards.
Yeah. Just a dumb throw, man. And Jeremiah,
Christian Gray.
Yeah. It was a phenomenal catch. And immediately I thought, they're going to take this away from the Irish. It would be the third interception they'd taken away from Notre Dame last night. I was waiting I could not look at the TV for the replay because I was sure that it had hit the ground. And luckily it didn't. He made the play of the game, and the Irish get the ball back, march down the field, and kick the field goal. Mitch Jeter, by the way, you could not have found a much more maligned college kicker than Mitch Jeter 6 weeks ago. Couldn't make a field goal.
South Carolina transfer, right? Yeah.
Could not make a field goal. Was just, they were people screaming online, you've got to get open tryouts going, coach. Anybody from the soccer team, anybody, can the Australian punter kick field goals? Anybody but Mitch Jeter. For him to come in last night, get that field goal before the half to kick the game winner. I cried. The shot of his dad, Daniel Jeremiah sent the tweet of the night last night. The shot of his dad, not just watching the game, biting his nails, holding up his iPhone, recording that moment. And then he nails it. He turns immediately around, hugs all the guys. But Daniel Jeremiah is like, that's a bold move by a dad to film the game winner because most dads know about deleting things off of their phone, videos from sporting events. I died, man.
I saw that too. Now, if I was the dad, do you really need your own copy of it? Clearly there's there's a lot of television cameras at this game. This isn't.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to
this
get
isn't
it
a Pop
every
Warner.
angle
This isn't a Pop Warner
imaginable.
game, and you're the only one recording it. There is every angle, slow-mo replays. You're going to have this moment documented from a much better camera with a much better zoom capability.
Such a dad move, man.
How about just enjoy the moment? Like,
That's
just
a dad
be in
move.
the moment
Bro.
and not recording it on your phone.
Dadding never stops. It never stops. Once you're a dad, you're always a dad. And so it's the ultimate dad move of just standing there.
Got to get this in case every other camera that ESPN sent to this game doesn't happen to get this one. I want to make sure I've got it.
Knowing full well it was probably off center, out of frame.
Exactly.
His thumb was in front of it because he is a dad. Right. What a moment, dude. When he kicked it, we all thought it was going to go hook right.
It was
and
hooking,
it did the double.
Oh,
It like the
God.
whoop, whoop. and went right down the middle.
Here's what it sounded like on the Notre Dame radio network.
Good snap, good hold, kick on its way, and the kick is good! Mitch Jeter, with 7 seconds left, gives the Irish a lead, 27-24.
Yes!
Yes!
In the background.
I was in the beyond torture chamber. Both kids had been down asleep. Hannah was asleep in Bo's bedroom. She passed out, rubbing his back, putting him to bed. I mean, every expletive came out of my mouth. It was yelling into a pillow again, pounding my chest, and tears coming out of my eyes. Oh, man, that was such a cool moment. Just such a cool moment as a fan my whole life to see that. I just did not. I just didn't think it was possible.
For at least a minute or two there, it looked like we were heading toward another overtime, like we had in the Arizona State game. That was pretty amazing, the best game of the playoffs so far. And I was wondering, because I've seen some people bring this up, should college football have a different overtime system for the playoff games? Maybe more like the NFL does, as opposed to the 25-yard line back and forth.
My
and
turn,
then
your
if you
turn.
go to third overtime, it's just the two-point conversions back and forth, back and forth. We had that game, what was it? Was it Ohio State earlier this year? We went 8 overtimes? Yeah. I don't know if that's how you really want to decide a game to get to or win a national.
Was it Georgia?
Georgia. That's right, Georgia. It was Adams, Georgia Bulldogs.
Against
8
Georgia
overtimes.
Tech. Yeah.
I don't know. Is that the way you... I mean, that's the way they've decided they want to play overtimes.
I don't like going to... I don't like just reducing it to a 2-point conversion, really.
I don't like changing things just for the playoffs, though, either.
But they do in the NFL. In the NFL, if you go to the playoffs, there's no ties, so they go to a 15-minute overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to either score a touchdown to win, or if you kick a field goal, then the other team gets
no
the ball.
ties in college football either.
Well, there isn't, but you're not playing football anymore in college. You're just playing red zone just 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
Don't most people want the NFL, like, everybody says the NFL should do it more like how college does it.
Yeah, that's true.
So now we're saying college needs to do it more like the NFL does.
Ben's saying just only in the playoffs, but I don't know. I mean, let's...
Well, like in golf, they used to at the U.S. Open, instead of a sudden death playoff, they'd have to play 18 holes the next day. It was bad for TV, but it was certainly the most legitimate way. Like, okay, we're not...
But it would be weird in golf if they said, all right, everyone drop your ball at 100 yards out and let's go.
Yeah,
like, that's
closest to the pin.
Let's do a putting contest, Like, I don't know, man. The
NFL has, I think, the worst overtime policy in sports. The winning a coin toss and potentially scoring a touchdown, it's always been bad.
But it is, but it does teach you to try to win the game in regulation. You don't want it left to that. And I'm so glad that obviously getting that pick and having 33 seconds or whatever to go down and get in a field goal range was epic. And they always say this. They say this at every halftime in every halftime show. Well, the team that can make adjustments is going to win in the second half. It's the most tired trope in sports. However, you saw it. You saw whatever Marcus Freeman said and whatever Al Golden said to his defense and Denbrock said to his offense, they adjusted. The lines adjusted. You had 7 guys out. You had guys hurt, banged up, guys stepping in. I've never been more inspired watching a football game in my whole life than I was last night. Last night was the most resilient, most inspirational team I have ever watched in my whole life. They just didn't quit, and it didn't matter. A guy went down, next guy up. I mean, you're talking about guys on the line, guys that have to block Abdul Carter. I mean, it was incredible, and they just didn't quit. And it gives me a lot of hope for whoever the next opponent is. I think both of the next opponents are very, very nasty. But hey, man, as last night showed, as it showed against Georgia, this team does not quit. You feel like they're going to be in it. And it was so inspiring to watch, man. It really was.
Who will be that next opponent? We'll take a look ahead to tonight's second semifinal, the Cotton Bowl Classic, right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Well, some problems along northbound 15. One's a stalled car just past Ocean View. It's over to the right shoulder. Then a collision up ahead, north 15, right past the 8. Those vehicles are over the right shoulder. And in the North County, northbound side of the 15, Mira Mesa Boulevard off-ramp, stalled car. Stop by into the 30, San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car. Usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Tonight from Jerry World, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Ohio State taking on Texas. The winner advancing to face Notre Dame in the college football playoff championship game.
Say it again.
A week from Monday. Facing Notre Dame in the college football playoff championship game a week from Monday. Yes.
I can't even believe it. I can't believe it. Music to my ears.
So Texas, of course, got here with their 39-31 double overtime win against Arizona State. If they had not converted that fourth down
13,
and long touchdown in overtime to keep the game going, they would not be here at all. But they got the win. They have the opportunity, and they will have probably the best home field advantage that you've seen. You know, obviously it's not Austin, but it's Dallas. It's not far away. It's going to be a very pro-Texas crowd, even though Ohio State's technically are they the better seed? No, Texas is the better seed, so they're the better seed. They'll have a home crowd. Yet Ohio State is favored to win the game based on their performance the last 2 weeks of the college football playoff, including their rout of Oregon, the #1 team in the country, where they jumped out to a 34-0 lead and avenged their only loss of the season, which came in Eugene way back in September.
Ohio State opened as a 5-point favorite.
They also lost to Michigan as well.
Yes. Now they are a 6-point favorite, but the matchup predictor on ESPN has got 49.5 for Ohio State and 50.5 for the University of Texas. There is weather in Dallas right now. I was just texting with a buddy. He sent me a picture of his backyard. It's snowy. The roads are toast.
But it's indoors, right? It's all indoors.
Cotton Bowl is...
The game's at AT&T Stadium.
It's
not at the... They call it the Cotton Bowl. They don't play it at the Cotton Bowl anymore. Yeah.
But the weather, the roads...
Getting there,
is going to be tough. And so you're talking about, travel, and Austin's about 3 hours from Dallas on a good day where there's no traffic, etc. I don't know what this is going to look like tonight. I really, really don't. They are incompetent in getting the ice off the roads. They're incompetent at driving on the roads. Every year they have this Ice-mageddon. I've lived it 100 times. It's just, I don't know what is going to happen getting out to Arlington for that game.
I would say, I don't think of, obviously Texas is a huge snow country. I know you get it occasionally. But can you imagine if, all of a sudden one day here we had snow and ice? How completely incompetent we would be if that happened?
It's they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the salt trucks.
When it rains.
Yeah, it's tough enough when it rains here. But man, I'm looking forward to tonight's game. Will Howard is great. He's a great player. Quinn Ewers has the capability of he has the capability of having a really good game as well. I don't know. I don't know which way this goes.
My gut tells me to roll Ohio State wins.
Yeah.
Do they cover?
I think they do. They look so good. As a Notre Dame fan, I just need these two teams to beat the ever-loving hell out of each other. I need them to just beat each other down.
7 overtimes.
I need it as hard and fast as you can go. I'm rooting for Texas. But I think Ohio State wins.
Would it be fair to say, had the Michigan game not happened, that we would all be going, Ohio State is just, they're just too good. They're just a juggernaut. Yeah. Their only loss would have been on the road by a point early in the season against Oregon, which they would have avenged mightily. If you can just erase that game, I think everyone would think that this is not even a close matchup. It's that Michigan game that leaves everybody wondering, well, could that happen again to Ohio State? Because if it did, well, then they could lose to just about anybody.
Because, what was the spread? 22 points or something? It just, anybody is capable of having a bad day. As you saw last night, these are kids. They are kids, straight up. There's guys that separate themselves, certainly, but these are kids out there, man. And you could see last night, like you see the nerves, you see the high throws, you see the spiked throws, you see the wobbly throws from Aller last night. Like, that's all nerves, man. Those guys have been doing this their whole lives, but at the end of the day, they're just kids. And I think anything can happen. Like I said, I'm rooting for Texas, but I think Ohio State wins.
I mean, in their last 6 games, they have 5 blowout wins, including beating number 5 Indiana, number 1 Oregon, number 9 Tennessee. They absolutely routed, obviously, Purdue and Northwestern, and they have that 3-point loss to Michigan. It just doesn't fit with the rest of their season. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep.
But other than that,
it's a rivalry game. They get up for that one. Michigan does, certainly. They weren't playing for anything but pride at that point. But, man, I'll tell you, this has just been, what a ride. What a ride this has been. I just can't believe it. We'll be in Arizona for the championship game, right?
Yeah, we'll be there for fantasy camp, first night of fantasy camp.
What if they'll show it at Explicit?
And then, Texas hasn't lost to anybody but Georgia all year long either.
Yep.
So, I think it's going to be a fun one tonight, to be sure, but I've got to lean toward Ohio State in this game for sure.
I think I do too. My rooting interest is for Texas for a lot of my friends, but the Jason Day, Lou Holtz collision course is a pretty interesting storyline, though. Don't you think? Remember that? Where's Lou Holtz now? Remember when he got all pissy earlier in the year? But, yeah, Ohio State, Notre Dame would be a good matchup. So with Texas, Notre Dame, it's going to be nuts.
All right, we'll come back. We still have Take on Woods in our 8 o'clock hour. We can talk about a big weekend of NFL playoff games. Of course, our mesh shirt bet is on the line for everything coming up. It's Ben and Woods. Don't go away. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Great to be here with all of you. Looks to be a really, really nice day. Have not mentioned the fires up in L.A. This morning. You know, obviously sports has always been a nice distraction for a lot of people, certainly, and certainly was for me last night. Been sharing a lot of stuff on my personal Instagram page as well. You could follow at the Stephen Woods resources, places you can help and donate. But it's not great, man. And then you get the news yesterday of like people looting homes that are burning. It's just, I mean, it's apocalyptic, as we've mentioned. It's terrible. So all of our thoughts, anything we can do to help the people up in L.A., we'd be happy to do. Post anything from any of our outlets here. It's just been sad seeing the pets, the people displaced from their homes. And I got a text this morning from a buddy that said, hey, man, I have a cousin that is going to be displaced. And you know, they have money, like they're okay, but they had to evacuate. Is there any way you could take their pets? And I said, I got room for 2 dogs and a cat. If you need me to watch them for, a few days, things like that. But it's just, there's just so much of that. There's so many people in need right now up in LA. And, obviously you worry. You see I don't know about you guys. I'm Woodsy, that's Paul, that's Ben. You see the wind pick up for just a second. You're like, oh God. Oh no! Oh crap! You know what I mean? Like you just hope that it doesn't continue to pop up and spread. Do we know what kind of containment they're at right now?
I have no idea, but
I saw like 6%. I mean,
you're
it's still
joking.
very low. Yeah.
Good God, those firefighters are just busting their tails.
There's 5 different fires, so there's so much to keep track of as well. Just the loss of property has been unbelievable. J.J. Redick, the Lakers coach, his rental house burned down. Steve Kerr, their family home where his 90-year-old mother still lives, she's evacuated safely, but that
LA,
burned down.
Los Angeles, not exactly known for wide open spaces or anything like that. Like where do you put the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are now homeless?
Yeah,
like,
I saw a story this morning that they said, unfortunately, rents, which are already sky high, are probably just going to go even higher with so many people needing to find a rental place to live.
Yeah, supply and demand.
For years,
the demand isn't there, or the supply isn't there.
Yeah, thousands of people jumping into the rental market all of a sudden is going to just have a devastating effect economically as well.
Like, I've seen a lot of companies and corporations, at least saying and doing the right things right now.
So far,
like I saw Airbnb.
That was cool.
Hey, free Airbnb if you've been displaced for a week. Pick a place. We'll get it set up.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, but in 2 weeks you better not say now the prices are surged 500%, because that's just wrong.
Surging is it's a tough scene. You go out. You have a few drinks.
There's a difference between surging because there's traffic, because there's a playoff game downtown or something.
It still sucks.
Taking advantage of people that have been displaced due to a natural disaster.
Yeah, it still sucks. Either way you look at it. It's New Year's Eve. I don't want to drink and drive. I'm going to go out with my friends, have a few drinks. My $30 Uber now is $130. That's trash.
Yeah, it's supply and demand.
The hotel prices surging for a big game or whatever. Like
going to a movie on a Friday night at 7:00 should be more expensive than a 12 p.m. matinee on a Tuesday.
This is tough.
I think I mentioned yesterday that my wife's cousin and her husband had just moved to Palisades, and they thought they lost their house, but they went to check, and by some miracle, it was the only one on their street left standing, like the only one. They sent the video and driving. Every single house is destroyed, and they got to theirs, and it was still there, virtually like
unharmed,
perfect, which is an absolute miracle and a blessing. But at the same time, I kind of thought about it. So what does that mean? You can't just go and live there then. I mean, your entire neighborhood is going to simply be an area of demolition
like
and construction and for years and years. Wow. And who knows if any of the water or power or anything's going to work for weeks or months or anything like that. So I mean,
even imagine.
It's a blessing that you didn't lose all your possessions,
your
obviously. You weren't able to get evacuated, but just huge consequences to everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's
think about that neighborhood too. All those homes, not all of them, but so many of those homes were occupied by actors, musicians, athletes. Think about all the priceless memorabilia and award. You know, stuff
Olympic
that-
swimmer Gary Hall Jr.
You'll never
lost
get it
all of
back.
his Olympic medals in
That
the
is
fire. Wow.
insane. Those can be replaced, I think.
I would think the Olympic Committee might
Yeah.
be able to do something.
Yeah, I guess there's a party that'll
Yeah.
always know
But it's not the
the
same
one.
one, yeah.
It's not the trophy I was given on
But
stage.
you know, it's what
or
it
something.
represents that's most important.
Yeah.
Not the actual physical piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, for sure. Keeping it real says it makes you so thankful. Yes, and it also puts things in perspective, right? Perspective is so important, and I hate it. I hate it for all those people. It's going to be years of consequences and years of trying to get it back. And seeing that picture of somebody took that picture of They just took a picture of the Sunset Boulevard street sign, and just flames behind it was just jarring to see, man.
The whole week has just been looking like nothing but movie sets.
Yeah. Yeah.
From an apocalyptic.
Yes,
it looks like hell.
Escape
at
from
night,
L.A. or
you know?
something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean it's pretty nuts. So I hope that you know they can get this thing dialed in and these winds slow down and you know hopefully get a little rain, anything to help. But it's been a really rough week for those people. So our hearts go out to them.
It definitely makes it hard to, look forward to the things we're looking forward to.
Sure.
We've got fantasy camp coming up.
Yep,
Not next week, but the week
yeah.
after.
We leave
It
next
was
week.
weird to be golfing at Torrey Pines yesterday.
It was.
Beautiful conditions because you can see the coastline and you're just like, it is jarring to know that 2 hours north of here, it is a completely different scene.
Different world.
Our fellow Southern Californians are just in the worst moments of their life right now, and pretty nice down here. It was weird. It was you felt conflicted.
I was out the other night at Bo had his first football practice, his FNL Friday Night Lights. He's playing the Winter League, and I was out there, man, and I'm just watching my kid practice and having such a good time. And beautiful night, and the sun was setting, and I go, gosh, man, how lucky we are to live here. And I just thought, 80 miles up the road is a totally different ball game. Yeah. I mean, look, please do what you can out there if you're able to help or at least share, resources and things like that. That's what we're trying to do. And I'm thinking about all you guys. It's really tough.
Yeah, it was weird. As Paulie was saying, we're out playing golf.
Golf
It's such
yesterday.
a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And I go, I feel bad like posting a picture even
I know.
right now.
I'm with you.
And I know, we've gone through our struggles in San Diego, and life other places has to carry on as well. But it did feel weird. We started making some plans for our spring training visit.
Yes.
We'll get details on that for you probably in the next couple of weeks. But we will be out there in Peoria, Arizona, covering the Padres probably sometime in late February. Looking forward to that, as we always do, and getting another season started. As weird as this off season has been, I promise you that we'll be fired up when the team gets together and they get out onto the field and we get to see them, practicing. They'll be optimistic. I guarantee you those guys are going to show up feeling confident and like they can beat anybody.
Yep.
When they get to spring training.
I agree.
In a few weeks.
I agree 100%.
Why are we the ones who are to tell them, hey, you didn't do enough, you haven't made enough moves, you can't compete, when they're going to show up and go, yeah, we're really good baseball players and we can go and beat anybody this season? Because I guarantee you that's how they're going to feel when they show up.
Yeah, 100%. And, the ending of last season was certainly different than the ending of the season before. They both ended without a World Series ring, so ultimately it was a failure. But it certainly felt different going into spring training this year, and it's going to feel different this year as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see the guys. Always am excited to see them work and bring you guys some good coverage from out there.
Did have some impact, the fires, on the sports world as well. The Lakers-Charlotte game was postponed last night at Crypto.com Arena, and they did officially move the Monday Night Football game, the playoff wildcard matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and Los Angeles Rams, which will no longer be played at SoFi Stadium, but instead will be played at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So both teams, for Minnesota, it's not really any change at all. Instead of flying to LA, they fly to Arizona, and it's a road game like normal. For the Rams, it's a big change. Instead of getting a home game in front of your own fans in your own locker room in your own stadium, you're now kind of scrambling at the last minute to plan. I think they were going to practice and then travel out to Arizona so they could practice the last couple of days over the weekend
it's a good place
in
to go.
Arizona. But my guess is that the impact is going to be much more on the Rams obviously, than it is on the Minnesota Vikings, who will, if anything, they'll face even less of a crowd.
Yeah,
that they have to
fewer
worry
Rams
about.
fans.
Fewer Rams fans, and it'll be a much easier game for a team that was already favored by a point. My guess is that has that number already gone up? I would think.
No, it's a good idea.
Since yesterday,
assume it has
but
to.
I would think that after that most people would now.
What was it? It was one.
It was one. Yes,
2.5.
2.5
now.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
2.5.
there's a point and a half right there
Yeah.
to go, which makes sense. If they say home is three, then neutral is probably a point and a half. So it goes more toward Minnesota because of that. I think we all took Minnesota in our pick'em game.
I think we did.
So it doesn't really matter too much at one point. But it's probably an advantage to Kevin O'Connell's team there.
I saw people ripping Kawhi Leonard earlier in the week because he left the Clippers. They were on the road.
I did too.
In his home, his family had to be evacuated. And I know he hasn't played much lately, but my God,
Played
if there was
all
ever,
game.
Clearly
over the last several years, I mean,
it's very much a reason. Make sure your family's okay. It's just the fact that he had not played for so long, finally came back, and then one game it's like, sorry guys, I got to go. It's understandable. It's just the timing of it was almost laughable because of how, what Kawhi's gone through.
I mean, I was reading the comments, and look, a lot of it is in jest. It's the internet, so people are going to take shots. But it was like, my man will do anything not to work. He will do anything at all not to work. The other guy's like, I've never seen someone abuse their PTO like Kawhi Leonard. Oh my God, I don't think it works that way in the NBA. But I mean, it's a really good reason to not play, is to be with your family that's having to evacuate and get things in order.
Speaking of playing, Tier 1s have had a fairly successful week in qualifying for our Vegas getaway in Take on Woods and Real or Fake. We got one more game of Take on Woods. We will get to that coming up next. If you want to get online to be our contestant, you can do so during the break here. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Our 5-question musical trivia challenge versus Woods, with an opportunity to win a trip to Las Vegas coming up in just a couple of minutes. First, though, I'll tell you about the Barnes Firm. Barnes Firm is a team of San Diego-based attorneys that are best in class, and they are following issues like self-driving cars, which are real. They are on our roads right now. They could possibly cause accidents as well. Now, they're designed to avoid accidents, but occasionally an accident is unavoidable. So how does the car decide who to protect? The passenger, the pedestrian? These are real issues that affect your safety and your legal rights. And if you're involved in an accident, especially with a self-driving car, you need experts to help fight for you, and that's the Barnes Firm. They're deeply engaged with all of these challenges. They have studied the issues like software glitches, sensor failures, even hacking that can lead to some of these accidents. Their team of expert attorneys is prepared to handle complex cases and fight for you and get you the best settlement possible. To set up a free consultation, please call 1-800-8-MILLION or go online to thebarnesfirm.com. If they take your case and you don't win, you don't pay. So you're not out anything. You just have a great team that's supporting you and making sure that you get the best settlement, the best case, possibly if it goes to trial. They're ready to do that for you as well. The Barnes Firm's attorneys, they're more than just lawyers. They're advocates supporting you every step of the way. So, man, again, make the call, 1-800-8-MILLION, or go online to thebarnesfirm.com. Could be the best phone call you ever make.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Apologize for my choice of words. Pointed out on the chat that I said I was fired up for spring training after we talked about all the fires. It's just a word. You use it a lot. I'm excited about spring training going out. I was trying to, maybe talk myself into it a little bit.
Talking so much about it.
It's been the off season. It hasn't been the most fun off season for San Diego Padres fans.
Yeah.
And I'm just stating my belief that once the players report, we will all feel excited and better about things.
Yes.
It's hard when nothing's going on.
Yes.
During the off season.
Indeed.
It's just it just doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a bit spoiled over the last few years with the intense amount of activity and rumors that were always centered around the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten it, so we feel a little left out this year.
Big time.
But it doesn't really change the fact that you can't win a World Series in the offseason.
We tried so many times, and we thought we did. And on paper, you get that scroll of paper out with all your new additions, and boy, you feel good going into the season. And it never really works that way.
All right, we got a contestant on the line. Time slot, I think, has worked out okay this week. It is time to play Take on Woods. All right, got Miles on the line. He is going to try to qualify for our grand prize drawing. 2-night stay at the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas and 2 tickets to see the Scorpions and a $100 gas card as well. It's 60 years of the Scorpions. Their Las Vegas residency show is live February 27th through March 11th at PH Live at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But Miles, let's see if we can get you into our grand prize drawing. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. All right, here's the game. We got 5 questions of musical trivia. If you can beat or tie Woods, you go first, he goes second. You are in for the drawing. And to give you an advantage, I'll let you pick our categories. We've got 3 choices. Mystery category, in which the 2-second song will reveal everything for you. And I don't think it's a particularly hard one this time. We got All In. We got 5 song titles that begin with the word all. And that is a 2-second song category, so 5 2-second songs there. And we have M&Ms. We have song titles that include a woman's name beginning with the letter M, all 5 of them. So mystery category, All In, or M&Ms. Miles, what would you like to play?
Let's go with Eminem.
M&M's. Okay. Again, 5 song titles. Each title includes a woman's name that begins with the letter M. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as you can. If you don't know one, say pass. We will come back to it if there is time left on the clock. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie is queuing it up now. You need to identify both that song title with the M name in it and the artist to score the point. Miles, are you ready to play?
Ready.
All right, Miles starts with M. We got the M&M's category for him. I feel good about this. All right, Paul, you ready?
I'm ready.
60 seconds on the clock. Miles, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Category M&M's. Good luck, Miles. Let's take on Woods.
Yep.
Paul McCartney sings in French, Sont les mots qui vont très bien ensemble, in which 1965 Beatles classic?
Yep.
Barry Manilow changed the original title of which signature song to avoid confusion with another hit at the time by Looking Glass?
Oh, boy. Yep.
Kim Basinger plays the role of a dead woman alongside Tom Petty in the video for which 1993 song about an Indiana girl or possibly cannabis?
Chose the wrong category.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
All right, which sweet woman is the title subject of an Allman Brothers hit written by Greg Allman years before the band even formed?
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. We got shut out today. I don't know. We'll see how Woods does. I'll leave the answers out there in the wind. I saw some people in the chat got them. Let's bring Woods back. I don't think 0 is a possibility, but you never know. All right, Miles just went. It's your turn, Woods. You get the same 5 questions, same 60 seconds. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Miles.
It's Maggie May by Rod Stewart.
Correct. Paul McCartney sings in French, Sont les mots qui vont très bien ensemble, in which 1965 Beatles song?
Pass.
Barry Manilow changed the original title of which signature song?
Mandy.
Correct. Kim Basinger plays the role of a dead woman alongside Tom Petty in the video for which 1993 song about an Indiana girl or possibly cannabis?
Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Mary Jane's Last Dance.
Mary Jane's
yes.
Last Dance.
Which sweet woman is the title subject of an Allman Brothers hit?
Melissa.
Correct.
What
Let's
is
go
the
back
Beatles
to Paul
song?
McCartney sings in French.
I know it.
Mots qui vont très bien ensemble, in which 1965 Beatles song?
Michelle.
Correct. 5 for 5. Very
God
good.
bless.
Yeah, it's, Miles didn't get any of those. It was M&M's. Those were female M names. Maggie May, Michelle, Mandy, Mary Jane's Last Dance, and
Ganja,
Melissa.
a.k.a. cannabis.
Cannabis. Because Mary Jane is sometimes considered a nickname for
Ganja, a.k.a.
weed.
cannabis.
Marijuana, which has an M and a J
Mary
in it.
Jane.
Marijuana.
Yes.
Mary Jane.
Big bomber class before busting on me head.
Will never not get me. Ganja, a.k.a. cannabis. What's that from again?
Ganja, a.k.a. cannabis.
I really don't.
I don't know.
I think it was from, it might have been from another question in Take on Woods at some point.
I just nodded.
It's just some of the Ben drops, that one included. It's the conviction behind
It's the delivery.
Yeah.
Ganja, a.k.a. cannabis.
Like, oh, thanks for clearing that up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Many say to puff the magic dragon is to,
There's a
smoke
lot
a
of
marijuana.
nicknames for
Yes.
marijuana.
Let's run through
AI,
some.
let's see. It's
Greg,
got
Puff was just the name
Name
of
is
the boy.
Magic-
bud,
Magic
blunt,
Dragon.
joint, skunk, haze,
Stop.
chronic.
Oh, hang on.
Start over.
Hang the
I need this clean.
F on.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Yep.
Weed, Mary Jane, bud, blunt, joint, skunk, haze, chronic, devil's lettuce, airplane, alfalfa. I haven't heard of alfalfa.
What was the one
before.
right before it? Airplane?
Airplane.
I've never heard
Dope,
that.
pot, head,
Dope.
doobie.
Head.
That's what it says.
Head.
I am simply looking up on the internet street names for cannabis.
If I'm asking For that, I don't want marijuana. Just so you know, it's different entirely.
No one's ever referred to
No,
that.
never. Hey, man, you got any head? Excuse me?
Too long, 420, Ace, Airplane, Alfalfa, Alligator Cigarette, Amnesia, Asparagus, AstroTurf, Aunt Mary, Baby, Bag of Bones, Bang,
Bag
Blunt,
of bones?
Blunt, Bobo, Boof, Broccoli, Bud, Cabbage, Cannon, Catnip, Christmas Tree, Chronic Climb, Collie, Daga, Dakine, Dak Dank, Devil's Lettuce, Doña Juanita, Doobie, Endo, Exotic, Fatty Fur, Fire, Flower, Ganja, Gas, Good Giggles, Grass, Green, Green Goddess. Let's go back to the top. Griffo, Hashish, Herb, Holy Weed, Houdini, Jazz Cigarette, Joint, KGB, Kush, El-Pape, Left Hand Cigarette, Loud, Magic Grass, Magic Dragon, Magic Brownie, Mary Jane, Maui Wowie, Moda, Muggle, Nixon, Pocolo, Pinner, Pot, Poland, Purple Haze, Rainy Day Woman, Reefer, Roach, Shinsamia, Skunk, Space Cake, Spliff, Square Grouper, Stash, Sticky Icky, Stogie Tea, 13 Trees, Wisdom Weed, and Zaza.
That is outstanding.
There's your Wikipedia slang names for marijuana right there.
There's some bangers in there. Head. That's so good. Ganja, a.k.a. cannabis. Pressure, somebody said. Pressure. Jazz Cigarette's funny. I always like that one, too. Can we, I think I figured out something we can use that for. We'll talk after the show. Thanks for that, by the way.
I already know what you're...
I think I know what to do with that.
Oh, I got a whole other list here
No,
as well. All right, we can't have time for it right now. Come back. I'll have more names for marijuana when we return with more Better Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, I want to tell you about Trust and Will. Woods and I had our eyes opened. Actually, it was during the holiday break when we both signed up to get our legal documents in order with Trust and Will. Didn't realize, Woods, how important it was to have your ducks in a row, to be buttoned up, and how much your family could be left in the lurch if you don't spell out your wishes before you're gone.
Can I say, though, that I don't believe what you said. We did know how important it was. We just didn't want to go do it. That's
part of it.
That's
Yeah,
where
that's
I
part
said.
of it.
I knew how important it actually was. I just never wanted to take
we
the
both thought
time.
we didn't really have enough to necessarily make it a big deal. But then we learned that even if you don't have a ton, you really make it a lot more difficult for your family if you don't spell out, your wishes in a document.
Yeah, and man, I the thought of like, what do I got to do this weekend? I got to go sit and do this with like an attorney sitting in an office. Listen, I didn't have to. It took me about 20 minutes online. Secure your assets, protect your loved ones with Trust and Will. Get 10% off plus free shipping of your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com. Use the code San Diego, one word, San Diego at checkout.
I mean, if you've got young kids like you do,
Yes.
Guardianship for minor children,
Yes.
they can handle that here. If something happened to you and Hannah at the same time, God forbid, want to know what is going to happen to your kids. The state takes over if you don't.
Yeah,
That's the last
Paul
thing you
gets
want.
Bo and you get Taylor. So
Cool.
enjoy.
Thank you very much for that.
That's what
So
we're going
again,
to
use
do.
the code San Diego, all one word at checkout. Go to trustandwill.com. Get 10% off and free shipping of your documents at trustandwill.com. Just heard that promo with Matt Scraby that I listened to them yesterday. Chris Ella having some travel difficulties yesterday, making a trip with the women's basketball team at San Diego State. They were chartering, I believe, to Laramie, Wyoming.
Okay.
And it was like 10 degrees and plane struggles. He said the last thing you ever want to hear as you're about to board a small jet is that we've got a few mechanical issues, and we should be underway shortly. Like, okay, do we need a new plane? No, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry about
It's
it.
all ball bearings these days.
Head over the Rocky Mountains and get going. But I think he made it safely to his destination at some point.
So the Aztec women where the men play this weekend?
Men are they're in New Mexico.
No, okay, New Mexico.
Yeah,
New Mexico.
and the women are in
That's right.
Wyoming.
That's
Both
right.
at altitude.
Both at altitude, one a little higher.
Did have a game last night at Lion Tree Arena. Remember I told you that Cal Poly had lost 42.
Did you hear it?
I heard that.
Did you hear it?
40. Well, I've got a lot of things going on in the old
Poly
vocal cord
Yeah,
region.
we'll figure it out.
42 straight losses for Cal Poly in Big West play. Cal Poly had a halftime lead on UCSD last night at Lion Tree Arena, but
Guaranteed us earlier in the week that they would not win.
they
a
will.
conference
They
game.
will win. No, he said
No,
they
he said
will.
they will win.
They will win a conference game at some point, and hopefully it will not come last night against the Tritons. UCSD pulled to San Diego State, though. I think they went on a 33-8 run in the second half. And put it away for their 12th straight
12
victory.
in a row. Saw that
Tritons-
tweet last night.
Tritons are now up to, I think, 42 in the net rankings I saw this morning, continuing to climb into the area where you could even be considered for an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. And with that win, sets up a huge first-place showdown tomorrow night at Lion Tree Arena against UC Irvine, who is the team that pretty much everyone picked to win the conference to start the season. I think they're both undefeated in conference play, so the winner has the early advantage in the race to get to the NCAA tournament. But congratulations to UCSD on their 12th straight win last night, 95-68 over Cal Poly. Got the job done.
Staying hot, my friends. Stay hot, my friends.
Hottest team in college basketball because Tennessee lost. So I believe UCSD now has the longest winning streak in all of college basketball at the moment.
It's seeing a team that is. It's always fun to watch a team do maybe what they weren't supposed to do, right? Like that's kind of how I feel about my Fighting Irish this year. I did not think they would be in the position where they are.
A little bit about last year's Padres as well. 93 wins was not on our bingo card to start the season.
It was not on our radar. That's the. I tweeted last night, and I tweeted every game that I watch. There's nothing fun about sports. Nothing. When Riley Leonard threw that interception, I went, no, it's over. Like, you can't make that mistake. You lose the turnover margin in a game like that. You're not going to win that football game. Somehow they found a way. But that's the fun. That, for me, is the fun part about sports is like, oh, yeah, no, I picked. And again, it's I think prognosticators had the Padres winning more games than I had them winning last year. But not 93. I think that was a surprise. After what happened to the Irish against NIU, I didn't see them ending up where they are with that being the only loss. And I think with UCSD, it's the same thing, man. Nobody would have predicted these guys would have ripped off 12 straight wins. It's pretty cool to see.
It is fun when your expectations, even if they are, like decent, if your team exceeds expectations, such a fun thing in sports.
Carlos said 12 straight's crazy. JD said 24 straight is crazier. Son of a... That's going to be something that I wonder, how do we exercise that demon? The only way to do it, there's only one way to do it, it's to win a World Series.
Paul,
That's the tough part.
You were saying earlier that maybe your favorite moment as a sports fan was San Diego State getting to the Final Four because you just considered it so unexpected, like unattainable almost. And when they got there, it was like, I don't know if it can be much better than this.
Yeah, I mean, my sports fandom throughout my life, the Mariners never did anything.
Yep.
Had some fun teams, but never even made it to a World Series.
Great
to
teams.
this day.
Yeah.
The Seahawks went to one Super Bowl when I was a fan and living up there. They
lost. Who'd they lose to?
Pittsburgh. And they got jobbed so badly by the refs in that game.
Who was the quarterback then?
Matt Hasselbeck and Sean Alexander.
Oh, yeah, he was
versus young Ben Roethlisberger and those guys.
Yep.
Then I moved down here, became a Charger fan. We know how that went.
Yep,
my Sonics got sold and moved to Oklahoma City. Padres, still waiting for them to make me the happiest I've ever been with sports. But for this, up until now, San Diego State, because I'm not trying to knock Notre Dame whatsoever, but Notre Dame, the football program, making it to the football national championship, not a huge surprise. They're a very long storied franchise.
They are, but it's
with a lot
well
of
funded.
resources.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's 30 years though since they've won any game of
It's like
importance.
San
30 years
Jose
is a-
State getting to the national championship.
Yeah. 30 years, or like SMU making it, right? Like that would have been a real. They're not a Cinderella, and I'm not trying to paint them as such.
But I just felt like San Diego State basketball, their best chances had been wasted, whether it was 2011, whether it was the COVID year where they're 30-2 and then didn't even get to play in the tournament. You're like, those were our best chances. It's not going to happen. I'm okay with that. It's still fun to watch. Them just getting to the Final Four was insane. Them hitting that shot to go to the national championship, I'm like, nothing matters.
Got a tweet this morning from T-Shirt Tech. It says, Woods, as an SDSU alum, lifelong fan, I can totally relate to what it feels like what happened to you last night with ND. That's how I felt when Lamont Butler hit the shot. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd make it to the Final Four, let alone a title game. And he said, I cried like a baby when that shot went in. I was in shock. And I was actually really surprised at my emotion last night. I was really excited, obviously, but the emotional part of it, brings back all the memories of being a kid. My dad letting me stay up late to watch the Fiesta Bowl in 1988 when I was 13 years old. Tony Rice goes out and beats West Virginia, and Irish are champions. I mean, I've told you guys many times. I got mine. I saw mine. I was 13. My dad and I watched it together. It's a memory I treasure for the rest of my life. And I told you guys verbatim, I'll never see another one. I've said this since we've been doing a show. I've said it 100 times. I'm never going to see another
I've never
one.
100% believed you when you say it. I think you say it to protect yourself sometimes. But
I thought I was fine with that. This is going to be excruciating. It's going to be excruciating. But I will say, Benny, the thing that gives me hope is the coach. The program is on the up and up and on the right path. Nothing's guaranteed. You never know if you'll ever get back there again. That's why, and I know we're all over the place with about 9 different sports, but it all ties in. If you are the San Diego Padres, you can't let last year, because a lot of Padres fans have said to me, and I tend to agree, that was the best chance we've ever had. That was it. They lined up perfectly. You had the lead. That was it. That can't be the footnote that you look back on and go, if only we hadn't gone 20. You can't let 24 scoreless innings become the thing for your franchise. The 1918 for the Boston Red Sox before they won one. The Cubs winning one in 1906 or whatever. You can't
There's just
let
so
it
much
happen.
that goes into it.
There's
too.
so much. It's so much
path,
luck.
You know what I mean? The other teams that are still remaining. I mean, San Diego State. Go back to that 2 years ago. They did their part by knocking off number 1 Alabama.
100%.
But when you're like, wait, we just have to beat a 9 seed, and then there's an 8 seed. It
fell
worked
into
out
place,
very well
man.
for them. And in 2022 for the Padres, you're like, hey man, Philly's a good team. And if you can somehow get past Philly, there's a damn good Astros team waiting for you on the other side. This year, it just looked like you felt pretty good about matching up with the Mets. You felt pretty good matching up with the Yankees should you get to the World Series. You had it. It was right there. Didn't happen. Feels like that was your best chance.
As a San Diego sports fan, we're much more defined by our disappointments than our successes. I see, Marlon McCree game. That was the year for me that, I actually thought the Chargers were that was the team that should have won the Super Bowl that year, and they couldn't even get through their first playoff game against the New England Patriots.
It's the worst. Call Seattle Mariners that 116 wins. There's no way.
Conversely, the year they did make it to the Super Bowl, It was a bit unexpected. I think everyone thought they were going to go into Pittsburgh and get just bodied by the Steelers in that game, and knocking down that last pass, Dennis Gibson in the end zone to send them to their first and only Super Bowl was a pretty special moment for me as a sports fan growing up. Obviously, the game didn't go well against Steve Young and the 49ers, but it was really cool to be there, and I know you're feeling that now with Notre Dame, spend a long time and getting a chance to see them at the peak.
Well, it's funny, though,
pretty cool.
because I know you're a Notre Dame hater, because when I walked in this morning, first thing he says was, well, I think they're going to get bodied in the next game. And I went, man, this is what I've been hearing every week. This is what I've been hearing every week. This is actually what I've been hearing for 30 years. 30 years. Now, until they hoist it, no one will give them credit. And even then, somebody will say, oh, what an I saw morons yesterday go, oh, what an easy path. I'm like, Are you joking? We watching the same games, the same teams? Until they hoist it, you're never going to get the respect. If they go out and they lose 28-7 in the championship game, you're telling me, Ben, people will go, hell of a season, Irish, well done. No, you're going to get the same old crap that you always hear. From you said it the minute you walked in, whoever wins this game tonight is going to blow them out. I'm like, here we go again.
I don't think that they don't belong. They do. They absolutely belong.
They proved it
there this year.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say that they are not going to get bodied, because I think Ohio State could body anybody, not just Notre Dame.
Of course. They could body Texas tonight.
Yeah, if Penn State had won, I would have said
Texas won the SEC.
I think I would have said the same thing about Penn State. Yeah, they won, but I think they're going to get bodied by Ohio State in the next game. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tonight. You know what? I'm curious, since we have a couple minutes after traffic here. All right, which are the fan bases in the NFL? We're starting the playoffs this weekend. Which are the ones that you feel like they have the chances to go all the way, and which are hoping for a miracle this postseason? We can get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few things to watch out for here, guys. 2-vehicle accident southbound 5 Coastline just past Encinitas Boulevard. Looks like that is blocking the HOV lane. Someone's dropped a dolly in the slow lane northbound 5 before Carmel Valley Road. Not the cute kind either. The really heavy kind that people haul stuff with. North 5 before Carmel Valley. And, care to guess what's in middle lanes on North 163 before the 52? My personal favorite, a ladder that some idiot forgot to secure. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So clearly you've got the two teams that aren't playing this weekend, the #1 seeds that have the bye.
Chiefs and the Lions.
The Kansas City Chiefs, I would imagine, are going to go fairly confidently into this postseason. They've won the last 2 Super Bowls. If you're a Chiefs fan, it's kind of gravy at this point. Yeah, you want to win another one?
You do. You want a three-peat real bad.
You went 15-2 in the regular season, but you're probably acknowledging, I don't know if this team is as good as the last 2 teams that won the Super Bowl, but here we are as a 1 seed, so we might as well win another one.
But think about how
make some NFL history.
Think about how Dodger fans felt going into the postseason last year. If you had polled Dodger fans and said, out of all the recent success you've had, where do you rank this team as the team to win the World Series? Dead last. Dead last. We have this guy's hurt, this guy's out, no pitching, blah, blah, blah. And look what happened, right? So the Chiefs could absolutely flip the switch immediately.
But
when
the fan
start.
base that really wants it has got to be the Detroit Lions fan base. Now,
if it weren't closely followed by Buffalo.
But the injuries to the Lions, I think, is tempering a little bit of their confidence / expectations. So they're the 1 seed, going to be at home, but they haven't been healthy. That win over the Vikings in the last week of the regular season, I think, ramped the confidence back up a little bit.
It did, but that was mostly because of how poorly Sam Darnold played. You know what I mean? That was like, yeah, we won that game, but he was horrific. So, but if you get the Vikings again, you feel like, okay, well, we just beat him. We can beat him again.
I think Paulie's right, though. I think this is the year that Buffalo feels like, all right, we've got a good path. We got a Denver team that, we should handily beat in the first round.
Well, and you need it. If you're a Bills fan, let's be honest, you're probably the most loyal, vocal, vociferous fan base that's in the NFL, right? I mean, there's probably close seconds, but no, Bills Mafia. Nothing really comes close to Bills Mafia, right?
Pretty much everybody else won a Super Bowl in some recent amount of time.
Well, and you
Ravens have won one. The
Yeah.
Eagles have won one.
Yeah.
The Packers haven't won one in a long time.
You look at it though, and you think
Rams
about
have won.
what they've been through as a city, and you think about what they've been through with their Super Bowl, their Super Bowl problems. Yeah, man, you think about Josh Allen being really in his prime, up for the MVP. The other one I'll give you too, though, is I think the Baltimore Ravens. Now I know that they won one with Joe Flacco, but dude, Lamar Jackson. He
needs one.
He needs one. Got to cement that.
You got to
thing.
at least get there.
Got to get there.
Got to get to
right. And I think for the city of Baltimore, it's going to mean a ton to see him take that next step in the playoffs, which he just hasn't been able to do.
Like I'm looking at all the other our Chargers fans and Texans fans. Do they really think this is our year? I don't know.
I think Charger fans do. I think
this was always a first step year. And,
okay.
It's the next couple of years where they're looking Super Bowl title. This was a very nice first step for them. Houston, they're at home. They have some now. C.J. Stroud has playoff experience going into this game.
You expect to win
a good
your
defense.
first game, but I think if we're talking the whole playoffs, if we're talking the Super Bowl, I don't know that if I'm a Texans, I'm like, it's going to be a tough path.
If you have to go to Kansas City or Buffalo, I don't love anybody else's chances in the AFC of doing that and going on the road. Baltimore's the best, but Zay Flowers is out for this game. That was announced yesterday, so they're missing one of the top targets. Lamar Jackson's always going to face those questions in the postseason until he doesn't. Until he puts the demons aside, he's going to be a question mark in the postseason. So, other than that, I don't see a ton of like Tampa Bay, Washington. I like Minnesota, but I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl this year. With Sam Darnold at quarterback, there's going to be a game where he doesn't have it, and at some point they're probably not going to make it. So
Packers fans would really, really like to get that first dub and beat the Eagles with Jordan Love at the helm, and kind of flushing everything in the past.
I think either of those teams could. I wouldn't be shocked if they went on a playoff run.
Yeah,
either the Eagles or the Packers.
Yeah,
whoever wins that game is going to have a lot of confidence moving forward. They're in the mix, I would say, this postseason.
Where's the Super Bowl come out of? AFC or NFC this year?
Who wins it?
Yeah, I say the AFC.
I think
wins
probably
the
AFC.
I think it's.
I'll go against Green. I'll say the NFC.
Say the NFC.
Because I think the Eagles can win one.
The Lions can win one.
I think the Lions absolutely can win one if they're not already the favorites. And
Packers.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
I think. Until the Vikings are eliminated, you can't dismiss the season as a collective that they've had.
They're really good.
They've had a really, really good season.
I'd like to see Baker go on a little run. That'd be fun.
I'd love to.
Tough to win a Super Bowl as a 5 seed.
Yes.
Though. And have to go on the road probably every game of the playoffs. That's 3 road games just to get to the Super Bowl. Not a lot of teams win 3 road games in a row in the NFL against playoff caliber teams, which is what you're facing at this point. So if they wanted to win a Super Bowl, they had to win last week against Detroit and get that 1 seed.
I agree.
That's why that game was so important to end the regular season.
I guess my point is I think the NFC is a lot more open than the AFC. The AFC is very top heavy. If the Chiefs don't win it all or the Bills don't win it all, well, it ain't going to be the Broncos.
Right.
It ain't going to be the
Chargers, not going to be the Texans.
That's a good point.
Not going to be the Steelers, I don't think, this year. Baltimore could get there. All right, we got 1 hour to go. We get some more baseball talk coming up here. Our Rindle Report is ahead as well. Stick around for more Bennett Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Since we're just talking football, just adding a little new news here. Adam Schefter reporting that Deshaun Watson re-ruptured his Achilles and underwent surgery yesterday, putting his now 2025 season into jeopardy for the Cleveland Browns quarterback.
I'm legitimately just clicked open Twitter and seeing Browns fans celebrating that news. I'm not a Browns fan, but I'm seeing them excited. They like what they saw from Jameis Winston this year, and obviously Deshaun Watson comes with a lot of baggage. I'd say to root for Deshaun Watson probably is a tough thing to do.
Now they also have the number 2 overall pick in the draft as well.
The draft remains really interesting to me this year because I think based on some guys that are coming out. That want to come out, some guys that were projected early to have really strong grade. The Penn State quarterback, Drew Aller, had people were like, oh, man, first-round pick. I mean, bro, no.
I would be hesitant at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you watched that game last night. Shedeur Sanders, again, like number one, it could be number 1 overall. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I feels who's your kid? The kid from Ole Miss. Probably made some of the best throws I've seen in bowl season. Jackson Dart, ungodly, like an ungodly arm. There's a few guys, but then you look at the kid that played for Penn State last night, Abdul Carter, coming off the edge with one arm. He had one arm. I mean, the shoulder was like hanging by a thread. He had one arm, and he was a menace. He's declared he's going to go into the draft. Like, there's a lot of good talent. So who knows what you do? And if you're the Browns at 2, Ben, I don't think you draft a quarterback. I don't, because you still have to pay Deshaun Watson for many, 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 many years to come.
You go with Jameis then next season.
Yeah, go with Jameis again, who did some good things for you, and maybe draft this defensive stud from Penn State. I mean, there's a lot of talent coming out. I mean, Travis Hunter is going to be in the draft.
I like Jameis. I actually like him a lot. We had Jim Rogan in studio who worked with Jameis, but he also makes a lot of mistakes in terms of interceptions, and it's hard to win when your quarterback can't minimize the turnovers.
There's so many, dude. Cam Ward is out there. It's crazy. There's so many good players out there. So first round is going to be replete with talent, as it usually is. But the decision that these teams are going to have to make, some of the decisions are going to be insane.
Talked baseball and Padres and their arbitration numbers earlier in the program. I was just scrolling my Twitter feed, and our colleague, Matt Scraby, the Scrabinator from the Gwen and Chris program and his own show, in all caps just tweeted, pay the man, meaning Michael King, his 1.475 million difference. Apparently, Matt Scraby doesn't think it's worth it to go to the first ever arbitration hearing in Padres' A.J. Preller tenure with Michael King, and he says just capitulate today. Give him his $8.8 million that he's asking for, rather than the $7.3 million or whatever the number is that the Padres have proposed for his salary for next season.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the sentiment. I really do, Matt. You're not wrong in feeling like it would be nice to just avoid all of this entirely. At the same time, if they were going to reach a settlement, would have done it already.
Yes.
If the Padres, I'm sure, had said the other day, all right, well, we can do 8.4. My guess is Michael King, that's pretty close to what I'm going for. Let's just do that. It sounds like the Padres are pretty firm in their 7-something million range for Michael King, and that's what they feel like he's earned in, the raise that he's earned this offseason, which means if Michael King's truly thinks, no, I think I'm more closer to a $9 million pitcher, then there doesn't seem to be a common ground between the two sides. And I think unless they get a long-term extension done, probably are heading to an arbitration hearing coming up here in the next few weeks.
And again, it's not something A.J. Preller likes to do. In fact, the article in the UT talking about it said the quote was that he loathes it. He loathes doing that, devaluing a player, maybe rattling a player's confidence even a little bit moving forward. It certainly leads to a lot of speculation, right? It leads to a lot of like, oh, well, this must be happening behind the scenes. As I said earlier, the jazz cigarette that I'm smoking that's full of copium, and not reefer, is the one that says, okay, we were a little bit off here. Why don't we work on a 3-year deal? Why don't we work on keeping you here for a few years? I saw somebody tweet earlier, we'll just defer a bunch of it. I don't think they're going to let the Padres defer a bunch of money like certain other teams are able to do. But I agree, man. You got to pay Michael King, and I want him here for.
Okay, they will pay him.
They will pay him.
If Michael King wins, they will pay him 8.8. If Michael King loses, they will pay him 7.325.
Yep.
He's under contract for next season. Either way,
he's going to be pitching for
you're
the
not
Padres
losing.
next year. My guess is,
just to be clear, you're not losing Michael King. Yeah, you could trade him if you wanted, but they're not. I don't think they're going to. I think they'd much rather sign him to that long-term extension. I do feel like, whether or not this one goes to arbitration, Roki Sasaki will make his decision long before that. And it will be for an organization that in A.J. Preller's tenure has still yet to go to an arbitration hearing. And A.J. Preller has very much established in his tenure one of the most player-friendly executives in baseball history.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, to me, is one of the biggest selling points to the Sasaki team.
It would be.
It should be.
It should be.
It should be that, AJ has treated his players
like gold,
incredibly well.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone around the league that would ever dispute that. It's like you'd look silly if Roki Sasaki went into a meeting with the Dodgers or the Rangers or the Cubs and say, "Hey, you don't want to play for AJ Preller. He doesn't treat his players well." They laugh and go, everyone knows AJ treats his players almost too well at times.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the great selling points of the Padres organization is AJ Preller and his absolute respect and, professionalism and love toward his own players. That has been very clear in the decade that he has run the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, he's traded a ton of guys, but even we've talked to him before, and he's agonized over a lot of these because he's been there. He's got a scout's mind. He's got a scout's eye. He's put in a lot of work on these dudes, and not easy for him to pull the trigger on some of these deals that he has. But no, I agree with that sentiment. Again, Roki is such a fascinating case study in baseball and where it is today. It's just going to be riveting to see where he goes. I mean, somebody had tweeted earlier or put in the chat earlier that John Heyman was reporting that the Padres would be out on Sasaki now because of the hubbub going on down at Petco Park. It's not what he said in the article. It said that some other executives are hoping that the hubbub that's going on down at Petco Park will dissuade Roki Sasaki
You're
from signing.
damn right they are.
If I'm them, yes.
By the way, the reason they're hoping that is that they're afraid that Roki Sasaki has already picked the Padres.
Yep. Correct.
And that is, according to Bob Nightingale, we talked about it earlier this week, the prevailing sentiment among executives that Roki has been and is still leaning toward choosing the San Diego Padres. Now, he hasn't chosen them yet, and he could change his mind, and I'm sure there are many teams that are doing everything they can maybe to get him to change his mind if that really is where he's at. And, yeah, they're going to hit him over the head with this ownership drama and go, yeah, that's... with the uncertainty, is that something you want to put yourself in part of? And I would wonder, how are the Padres responding to that behind closed doors? My guess is there's a lot of ways to respond to it. Like, hey, no matter who is, the owner, we are all Team AJ Preller. He's going to continue to be our president of baseball operations. You've been dealing and talking to AJ Preller.
He ain't going
He's
anywhere.
Our guy. He's got a long-term contract. I mean, what is AJ's deal through? At least a couple more years. He's not going anywhere. We like Peter Seidler, we all have full belief in AJ Preller. He's the guy that you'll be dealing with. We'll continue to be dealing with going forward. Doesn't really matter. We'll write the checks. We're not going to.
This is us talking ourselves into this as well.
I'm speculating as to what the Padres are telling.
Sure.
Roki Sasaki and his team.
Oh, yeah.
Something I would imagine to that effect. Like, this really doesn't impact you at all. We will be there.
Oh, and by the way, Roki, we're still going to value the hell out of you, and you're still going to pitch every 6th day, and we're still going to take good care of you, and you're still going to get endorsements, and there still won't be a ton of media, and all the things that you love to do, quality of life, you have that as well.
I'm sure they're minimizing you, and this really will have zero day-to-day impact on you and your experience with the San Diego Padres and all the people that you are working with, from Ruben Niebla to Mike Schilt to AJ Preller to the team, of our trainers and our biomechanics lab. Everything that we've got and we were selling you doesn't change at all with any uncertainty with ownership. This will all be in place, will continue to be in place going forward, and we will continue to build on this no matter what happens here.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm telling Roki Sasaki if I'm the Padres at this point, and I don't have any reason to believe that that's not true as well. That, I'm sure no matter who's running the Padres, they would like Roki Sasaki to be here, be happy, and want to be a member of the San Diego Padres going forward. So,
yeah, Hector in the chat, he's a Dodger fan, I believe. He said, well, they're nickel and diming Michael King right now. What are the chances that he will come here? Roki, again, has nothing to do with money. Nothing. It really doesn't. There's an international bonus pool. There's a certain amount that you can spend, and that's really going to be it.
This is the rare instance where the Padres can match the Dodgers.
Well, yeah, but it's also Hector. You got to remember what Ben just laid out the foundation for. They've never gone to arbitration with anybody in the 10 years that he's been here. They've never had to go to that hearing before. If it happens in a few weeks, Roki will already have committed here. So I'm not too worried about. I'm not worried about Michael King holding back a Roki Sasaki.
I think Roki Sasaki is looking at the next 6 years.
Yes.
After that, he'll be a free agent. He can go anywhere he wants. If all he wants to do is win in the next 6 years, go to the Dodgers then.
Yeah.
Go to the Dodgers.
Yep.
They're in the best position. They will continue to be in the best position. But if you don't want to go to the Dodgers, if you don't want to play in that giant media market, if you don't want to, play second or third fiddle to Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and you're looking for other options, I think the Padres would be a great place for the next 6 years with Tatis and Manny and Bogarts and Merrill and, Leonidas DeVries and Salas coming up. You've got the two of the top minor league prospects that are going to be hitting along with you, and you're going to be building around these guys. And you can sell 6 years very easily to someone like Roki Sasaki for the San Diego Padres right now.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's that hard of a sell at the moment, even with what's going on, ownership wise.
Sold me. You sold me just now. I'm sold. If I'm Roki Sasaki.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a little time out. Still have our Reindl report coming up. Last couple of segments of Ben and Woods on the way here on 97.3 The Fan. First, though, my weekend is going to include some Prize Picks plays with the college football game tonight, with all the professional football games over the weekend. It is very easy to put together lineups. I know you can go as many as 6 players. You can go as few as 2 players. It's all up to you. I tend to go with the smaller lineups, go for the 3 lineup wins, and you're just picking more or less on stat projections, putting them together, and you can win. You can win 5 times your money, 8 times your money, 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. It's all how you like to play it. But just sign up. Go to the website, prizepicks.com, download the app, use the code KWFN so you can get your $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. It's a great way to ease into it, figure out how you're playing. It's free money to just kind of get you going with your first pick. So do it this weekend and start running your game with Prize Picks. Look at the matchups this weekend. Look at your favorite players with passing yards. Guys like Lamar Jackson, passing yards, or you can go with rushing yards for different stars. It's really easy to do at Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
Black 17 on. That is fine. All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Padres did announce yesterday that season tickets are sold out for 2025 yet again. Start the waiting list like they have the last couple of years. They made a few more season tickets available than last year, which means that's a new single season record for 2025. So any thoughts that Petco Park is going to be half empty it's not going to happen. It's going to be jam-packed like it's been the last few years. And, if they have a good season, there's no reason to think that that's going to stop. But, again, like we've talked about, Woods, if the Padres don't have a great season and they have some lingering ownership questions and payroll questions going forward, well, then, 2026 and 2027, you start to worry that, will they have the same kind of fan engagement that they've had the last few years?
Well, what they can't do is say, it's important too, I think now with that email coming out yesterday, the press release coming out yesterday too, that ownership, no matter who is making the calls and things like that, and I know there will be allegedly a vote in a few weeks and try to get some clarity on what's going to happen. So that from the fans' perspective, and I know it's very black and white, but the fans' perspective is this: okay, did ours. We did our part. Gave you our credit card. You got it. Paid this. Prices have gone up a little. So your move, Chief. That's what the fan is saying.
I think from the team perspective, just as fairly, their point is, we won 93 games last year. We had a heck of a season, and we believe we're going to have another good season this year. So
but the fan rebuttal is, okay, prove it.
Until we don't, there's no reason for you to doubt us at this juncture.
Yeah.
And that's.
Well, I don't know that I don't know that you can say there's no reason to doubt. No reason. Right now, there's a reason to doubt. Spring training's not here yet, but right now, today, yes, there's a reason to doubt. There's a lot of uncertainty, and I think with uncertainty,
there's a reason to doubt the Yankees right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly.
They've made a lot of moves, but it's, spring training isn't here yet. We've lost Juan Soto.
They still have moves to make. There's a lot of teams right now, other than I'd say the Dodgers, where the fans don't know.
We're winning
120
Not
games.
only do they have the World Series cachet, they've had an active offseason, of course. Yeah,
as Purple says, 0 Major League Baseball free agents is a big reason to doubt. And as it stands, he is absolutely right today. The fans have done their part. They're going to be locked in at Petco Park.
But keep in mind, they also haven't traded anyone away yet. They've held on to everybody.
It's all true. Nobody's wrong. No one. You're not wrong. I'm not wrong. Nobody's wrong in this scenario. There's no right and wrong here. I think both parties are absolutely within their rights to feel the way that they feel.
In an ideal world, and we're not there yet, obviously, but in an ideal world, you put together a really great team, and then you keep that team together as long as possible. You don't want to have to be signing a bunch of guys in the offseason. You're looking for a consistent team that you can keep that together for years to come. That's always been A.J. Preller's plan, right? When he was acquiring everybody and giving them long-term contracts, the idea was
the core.
I'm putting together this team, and this is going to be my team coming back. And eventually, if I do this right, I'm not going to have to make all these moves every year.
Yeah.
Because I get it right, and this is going to be my team going forward. Now, they definitely have issues in places that they need to supplement the current roster. No one is disputing that, and they need to get on that at some point. But I think we're more in the era of now, okay, we put the team together. This is our team. We believe in this team, and we're going to throw those guys out there for the next few years and hope one of these times they win a World Series.
This is a good point. I Need Money said, we didn't do much last offseason at this time either. We had traded Juan Soto, but we knew what the return was. We didn't know how it was going to work out. He said it was even more effed looking last offseason. You are absolutely not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. Jurickson Profar was not signed at this point. Jackson Merrill was a shortstop moving to center field. Is Fernando Tatis Jr. healthy? Manny Machado's knee, his elbow surgery. Who's playing short? What's Xander going to do? They moved him.
The Dylan Cease trade was still 2 months away at this point.
This time last year, it was
Payroll is way down. Remember, last year payroll was down almost $100 million at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That
payroll's not down at all. In fact, it's up from where it was last year because
it's the rest. It's like somebody put it this way yesterday. I really liked it. It's the resting heartbeat payroll, right? It's the resting heartbeat payroll, and I really liked how that was put. So yeah, you're right. But I love the I Need Money quote of this time last year. There was way more uncertainty.
I'm not telling you shouldn't be skeptical. Of course.
Well, also,
most fans are always going to be somewhat skeptical.
Another great point. JD said it also looks bad because the Pods are in the NL West. The NL West has come out.
I said that this week.
Blazing,
I said if you were in the AL Central right now,
we'd be set.
You wouldn't. Yeah, you go. Oh well, I'm just keeping pace with everybody else that's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you're in the NL West and all the other teams have been so active, it feels like you're getting lapped. Like other teams are going. You're not just competing against those teams, though. You're competing against everyone to win a World Series. So skepticism is fine. Skepticism is warranted. What's not warranted in my mind is already giving up on the fact that the Padres are ever going to be good again. This year is going to be bad. That's silly talk. That's way that. Then you're getting way out of here. If you're saying no, there's no way this team could be good. Yeah, there's a lot of ways this team could be very good this year.
It's so massively hypocritical of me, and I'll wear this one. I'll wear this one like 96 to the ribs. I got to tell you. I have been on this program with you for 7 years talking about how much I hate power rankings. I hate them. They're stupid. They're pointless. Looking at the MLB power rankings yesterday and seeing the Padres at 6th gave me a small, tiny sense of peace where I drove home and I went, what do they know that I don't know? Okay, maybe you are just a miserable sack of S. I did. It gave me a small, tiny fingernail's worth of hope.
It's weird because usually we're going, why do those idiots have us at 16? We're way better than that. They're not giving us any credit. And now you're going like, what do they know that I don't know? That they have a 6?
I fully admit it's such a hypocritical move to be like, hey, only care about power rankings when they make you feel good, not when they make you feel bad.
So
I get it.
I'll let you in a little secret on how I go about this job in particular. Talking about the Padres on the air, on the flagship station, 5 days a week for 4 hours a day. I know my job is to come with some opinions and my thoughts on the team. But I always think, what if I make an opinion? Is there a chance that in 1 week this is going to sound really stupid? So if we come out and say, oh, this has been a disastrous offseason, and Roki Sasaki then decides to sign with the Padres in 1 week. Next Friday is what? January 17th. Yeah. Could be the day.
Yeah.
We could be, at some point, finding out later in the week. If he does that, we're all going to be pretty happy, right? Right?
Minus the pretty. Yeah. We're going to be ecstatic.
I'm gonna at least let that play out for another week before I really start letting my heart go in any direction this offseason in how they're doing. Because I do believe that that's going to be a pivotal moment this offseason. Oh yeah. You talked about the other dominoes that need to fall, Bregman and that are still out there that are going to impact what other teams are looking for in trades and moves that the Padres
Tanner
could
Scott,
make.
yeah.
So again, I have to be a little patient here.
It's not easy, man. I know.
Opening day is still 2.5 months away.
Can we agree that if Roki goes somewhere else, the dooming is going to be magnified intensely? It's going to be a dark cloud.
Not going to help.
No,
not going to help.
It's going to be hard, and I know you don't like to be shocked, like physically shocked, but I'm going to have to put a shock collar on you if you try to bright side it and say, well, spring training's now only 2 months away instead of 2
not bright siding. They're one of 20 teams at least that are trying to get him.
I get it.
I can't. I'm not going to be surprised if they don't get him. You can't frame it as, oh, what a disaster. The Padres were overwhelming favorites to get him, and then they didn't. Because I don't think they've ever.
I can and I will.
I mean, the Dodgers have always been considered the favorites by most of baseball to get him. So you can't ever say, oh, the Padres messed this up badly.
No.
They were shoo-ins to get Sasaki, and then they didn't get him. They've always been considered dark horse candidates.
They have not dark horses. No, they've been mentioned as the one of two.
So
it's 50% chances.
Of 4 or 5.
Fine. It's very dark. And if you try to polish this one up, it may be our first physical scrap.
My life is happier if he does pick the Padres.
Yeah,
let's
all of ours is.
Let's say that. All right, we'll come back. Paul Reindl's got a Reindl report. A couple of headlines to end the week, stuff we didn't get to, leading up to the Annie and Elston program at 10 o'clock with more Ben and Woods coming up on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, my friends, I don't know if you've heard me talking about it, but if you're a California sports fan, good news, Underdog is available to play in our state here. Best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going to go off, which ones are ice cold. You can actually bet on both, or make your picks on both. Over 5 million happy players, $2 billion won. Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. There's going to be a lot of movement this weekend. It's going to be so fun to play Pick'em during the NFL playoffs. It's going to be in tonight's game as well. The Texas Longhorns against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Should be some movement there as well. All you got to do is choose higher or lower on player stats, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. You can cook up some entries for a shot to win real cash prizes all playoff longs. They've got really cool boosts that you can do. You can do the double flex option. You can take 2 L's, turn them into a win. It's there's a lot to do. It's a really fun app to play with. I've had a lot of fun playing with it. So check it out today. Underdog, the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app Underdog. Sign up with promo code WOODS and deposit now. You'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Promo code is WOODS. Must be 18 and over. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. But Italian Paul is a Penn State fan. Just came in and congratulated me, and I congratulated him like either of us had anything to do with that victory last night. But what a hard-fought battle that was. Holy smokes. I'm looking forward to a big game tonight. A fun one. I hope it's as good as last night's.
I think, I have Ohio State winning.
Yeah.
It's possible that Texas's, local fan base is going to make that a close and fun game.
You know what I'll say, too? I was not the world's biggest Steve Sarkisian fan. Head coach at USC.
He's a different person than he used to be.
He has – a lot of people are saying this. I saw a guy tweet this morning. Marcus Freeman's ability to make people that hate Notre Dame actually root for Notre Dame is his greatest accomplishment, and you're seeing a lot of that. A lot of people are saying – a guy said, I realized, you know what growth is? I didn't hate Notre Dame. I hated Brian Kelly. I hated Charlie Weiss. I was like, yeah, okay, there it is. Marcus Freeman makes it easy to root for him. And I'll say this about Sark. The difference and the changes that he's made, I love that guy now. I mean, I genuinely like that dude a lot.
Clearly, he's battled demons.
He has.
And has cleaned up his life in many ways.
And
I think his time with Nick Saban turned out to be a godsend for him in his career, and he's a different head coach than he used to be.
I really enjoy that guy now. I enjoy his demeanor. I enjoy how he talks to the media. I enjoy how he talks to his players. I noticed a lot about him in the last game they played. I just think he's great. I think he's great, and I think his team is capable of winning that game tonight as well. I'll be rooting for him, but I did put my money on Ohio State.
Adam Paul in the chat.
The phrase is leader of men.
Yeah.
And he seems like a really good leader of men.
No question about it.
Adam Paul in the chat says, bet you didn't know this. Steve Sarkisian was actually a coach on staff at SDSU for a hot minute.
Nice.
Well, Adam, I didn't know that. When was he on the San Diego State coaching staff? I did not know. I was not aware of that, even if it was for just a hot minute. Before we get to the Rondo Report, question for you. Mm-hmm. Tier 1, our friend Mazzone, Andrew, tweeted at me about an hour ago. He says, I know, and he took a screenshot from our YouTube stream. He says, I know he lost his voice, but did Ben Higgins forget how to wear a hat? Oh, no. What did I do wrong? Am I doing something wrong with my hat?
I mean, I said Riz earlier, and I got dragged for it.
You picked out this hat when we were at the GOAT during the Wishbone Brawl.
Look at me straight. Hats just look weird on you. I've said it before. I'm sorry. They just look strange on you.
I don't think there's any. I mean, yes,
I don't think you're wearing it wrong.
I don't. I mean, it's on my head. It's snapped in the back. I'm not supposed to wear it in any other way. Am I?
Do something for me. Flip it around. Let's see how you look with backwards hat. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. Paulie, look at that. Oof. All right, turn it back.
No Riz at all.
Zero Riz.
Do I need to break in the
bill?
Bill a little bit?
I think it's the crown, the cone.
You picked this out.
Paulie, look at him.
You picked this hat out for me.
Paulie, tell me.
It's a great hat. It's a melon hat. It's terrific.
You don't see any problem?
No.
Getting dragged on the internet for my hat wearage.
Can I say this too? I don't look as good in hats as I used to look in hats. I don't. There's been a paradigm shift. There's been a shift where I only have a couple.
Have changed, or has your head changed?
I think it's my head.
Not the hats. The way they make hats.
I think
different?
so.
They make hats differently now than they used to.
Ray said, "Wear it on the table."
Just put it. Am I not straight enough? I mean,
I don't know. Is it crooked? Says the bill looks longer on one side. Yeah, maybe that does look kind of funny. Poor Betty.
Self-conscious.
I'm sorry.
All of a sudden.
Well, you're losing your hair, and now you don't look good in a hat. Maybe let's try a different array of hats for you.
We've tried hats before.
Newsboy? You think you can pull off the newsboy
hat?
Yeah. Well, you need a whole new look. Fedora?
I need hats to wear, like, for golf, to keep the sun out of my eyes.
How about one of those old press hats with press on the side?
Yeah, with a little card.
You've got a problem. No?
I mean, we could try it.
You got a problem.
Your hat sucks.
I've never looked great.
You got a problem.
In hats.
You got a problem.
I know that.
You got a problem. You got a problem. You got a problem. You got a problem. You got a problem.
Thank you, Paul.
Impressive. I don't have a great shape of my head, and it doesn't work with hats. It doesn't work without hats. I'm sorry. I have a weirdly shaped head.
I don't look good in hats anymore either. They don't make them the same way, I don't think. Man, when we go out to fantasy camp, we'll get the team hats, and and I put that thing on, and my head looks 4 sizes bigger than what it normally does. It just doesn't. Paulie looks good in hats. I just can't do it. Yeah, go with the Kangol. That actually is the hat that probably looks the best on you. That's Newsboy. Look at that. That's not bad. Hear ye. That looks pretty good. Derby. It's like a derby hat. That's not bad. You look like you're a mobster.
Don't look like a
really
mobster.
good.
I really don't.
So he said, "How about a do-rag?" Yeah, that looks all
Doesn't
right.
really keep the sun out of your eyes,
No,
though.
no. Yeah. No, it looks good. That's much better.
There's like no bill.
I think that's what people were hoping for. Lack of a bill. I Need Money says it looks stupid as hell. So you can't really please everyone. Sorry.
I don't think I'm pleasing anyone. All right, we'll check traffic, and then we'll get to our Reindl report to wrap things up.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Guys, pretty safe to say the last thing we need to see is a brush or encampment fire starting up. It looks like we've got one near the 43rd Street off-ramp, southbound side of the 805. It's over to the right shoulder. Also, a crash at the clearing stage on the coastline, southbound 5 near Leucadia. Everything has been moved over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
A lot of stuff going on.
There's so much happening right now. Ben's in a Santa hat now. He's made the switch.
I was just seeing what we had available in the studio, and so, switch to the Santa hat. Actually, probably the best choice
Yeah,
of
you're probably
the
right.
bunch at this point.
Genuine
Year-round
tense.
Santa hats.
That is a bold fashion statement. Like, hey, bro, Christmas over. Like, no, I just wear this. This is just my hat.
This is my look. This is my
This
look,
is my
man.
look. No, I will say that is a completely 100% original look. No one has ever done that. No one's ever worn a Santa hat all
June.
year. No, yeah, June. You're out playing golf. Please make that your scene. We go to interview players at spring training. You're in a Santa hat. I'll give you $100. I'll give you $100 if you do a whole day at spring training in a Santa hat.
What if we just do every day is a different like a holiday thing, like Halloween? Ben shows up as Frankenstein. Like, getting a little early Halloween vibes.
The mesh shirt will be a player at spring training for sure.
4th of July, you can red, white, and blue.
Yeah, this is a red, white, and blue top hat. That is great. Yeah, he's just looking for an identity, as Tyler says. Yeah, I get it, man. You get older and you start looking.
I just realized the reason no one wears Santa hats.
It's hot.
It's just
All right,
unpleasant.
Paulie, take it away, buddy.
We will start off in college football. A little surprising story yesterday, I think. Carson Beck, Georgia's quarterback, has entered the transfer portal. Now, I thought he was declaring for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And I believe he did declare for the draft, and then now he has reversed course. But instead of returning to Georgia, he wants to enter the transfer portal for one more season. And ESPN is reporting that Miami would be the favorite to land Carson Beck.
He's got a lady friend that attends there. I believe.
Makes sense then. They need
Doesn't
a quarterback
really.
next year.
Leaving Georgia for Miami makes sense all of a sudden. I don't know about that.
If your lady friend is there.
Leaving Georgia for the NFL makes sense.
Yes.
Correct.
Leaving Georgia for almost any other school is kind of surprising.
They
When you're the starting quarterback.
well, but-
Miami has an insane amount of NIL.
Uh-huh.
Like, suspiciously a lot of NIL money.
Can it be suspicious anymore?
I don't know.
I don't think it can.
Georgia obviously has a ton, but
It all comes from that guy, by the way.
But Miami seems to have the biggest NIL coffers. And I mean, why not keep all your options open? I can go to the NFL, I can transfer, I can come back to Georgia.
What happened was this. he has an agent, and he said, I want to go to the NFL. And so his agent got on the phone and goes, hey, what is he looking like? And everyone said, 3rd-round pick. Buddy, don't go to the NFL. You got to go out and play another year. All right, I'll go down. I'll play with Miami. I'll get a big, fat $7 million.
That's different when you were used to making 0 in college football, but now you're making a ton in college football. Yeah, maybe more than you would be making in the NFL next season.
Bro, he's not good enough to be a first-round pick in the NFL. He's just not. So, and there's probably a few guys that are doing that aren't, but they'll learn the hard way. But yeah, he's going to make a bunch of cash. Going to go play in a different environment, college football environment in Miami than in Georgia. Still a very serious when they take their football very seriously in Miami. But yeah, I mean, probably a good business decision for him.
All right, we'll move on to the NFL. We have an update to a story we talked about the other day. The Raiders firing Antonio Pierce.
Oh, yeah. Remember, I was surprised.
We spent a good chunk of time saying, well, what are they going to do with Tom Telesco? I mean, that wasn't really his pick, so you're going to give him some more time to get his guy in there. Well, no. He's been fired.
He's out.
Tom Telesco has been fired by the Las Vegas Raiders, so now they need a new GM. I guess that'll probably be the first hire. Mm-hmm. He will then pick his head coach, of course, with the help of ownership, Tom Brady, and everything. But, yeah, fresh start for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Somebody said how that's the dream, right? Like that's the absolute dream to have the fresh start. The both heads.
I think so.
Both heads of those are out. That then makes it a much more attractive opportunity for somebody to come in, be able to hire their guy, whatever, and move forward.
I do think you're pretty pissed if you're Tom Telesco. I think you're going. I just got here, guys. Yeah. Like I haven't. We've been thinking like a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 5-year plan. Like really already?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was surprising, I thought.
I'm curious. What changed in the last 2 days? Why didn't you just do it when you fired Antonio Pierce?
Exactly.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, Telesco, remember, he didn't even have a break. He was the Chargers GM. He was fired. Hired him with the Raiders weeks later.
Yeah.
I assume he signed a multi-year deal, so they're probably going to have to pay him for at least the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think it's the worst outcome in the world for Tom Telesco. Here's my speculation, and again, I know nothing about this. But we know that Tom Brady was going to take an active role in hiring the coach. My guess is Tom Brady was going, I don't think Tom Telesco is the right guy to pick the coach. I said it yesterday. He's been terrible at hiring head coaches. Let's just keep him out of the process entirely. How do you keep the GM out of the head coach hiring process? Right. By firing the GM. That's really the only solution, I think. So I think they just realized, okay, time to hire a head coach. How's this going to work? We don't really want Tom part of it. Well, if you don't want him part of it, then he's not really your GM anymore. Good point.
Exactly.
All right, you're fired. We'll move on. Find someone else. I bet they hire a coach before they hire a GM.
No.
Yeah. I bet Tom Brady and they decide on the coach, and then they maybe hire the GM. Or they hire a coach and give him a lot of GM powers or something. Yeah.
Bill Belichick would have been a name, but he has said
he wants to stay.
He says he's firmly committed to the to North Carolina Tar. Pete Carroll.
He interviewed with the Bears this week, but he could get an interview.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, and then finally, I don't know, because we were kicking around about 5 different ideas, and right before we hit the air here, Woodsy threw one out at me for a curveball, and I'm trying to actually get all the details, so I'll throw that curveball right back at Woods. You wanted to talk about TikTok?
Yeah, a lot of news going around about TikTok. Now, we've heard that this may have been a thing for a while, but the Supreme Court is hearing arguments this morning on whether to overturn or delay a law that could lead to a ban on TikTok in the U.S. in the coming days.
So I know this has been brewing for a while.
Been brewing for a while. It's got bipartisan support. It was signed into law by President Biden. The law is set to take effect on January 19th, Ben.
So you're saying that in this country where no one can agree on anything, that both sides have come together and have said, we are done with Sammy Levitt's end-of-year TikTok quote, and we need to get rid of this platform entirely.
So I tweeted something the other day. I had forgotten that this was coming down, but it's the reason that I don't have TikTok downloaded. My time suck on a daily basis is already filled. I'm filled. I don't have room for another time-sucking app on my phone. I've never really liked TikTok. I've been pretty vocal about it, mostly because I find it hard for me to do a TikTok. But I've gone down the rabbit hole on Twitter of TikToks. Like I saw one the other day. People are making country music, and they're putting them on TikToks. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. And I watched 3 of them, and I found myself going, I want more. Because I'll do an hour on it, maybe next week. Paulie, I got them. I haven't even sent them to you yet. It's the worst thing you've ever heard. And they're real. They're like trying to be earnest, like this is my new country song. It's so bad that you can't stand it. So it will suck me into a vortex of wasting my entire day, forgetting to feed my family, forgetting to exercise, forgetting to walk outside. So they want to get rid of this thing. But then I thought about the Sammy.
Getting rid of it?
I thought about the Sammy Levitt's.
They're worried
of the
about
world.
the Chinese. Like, they control the app so they
Correct.
can, like, use it against us somehow. I mean, not that, Facebook and X haven't turned into cesspools of hate already anyway. But, yeah, they're worried about, potentially the app being used against the United States.
Espionage or blackmail. For China to advance its geopolitical interests, sowing discord and disinformation during a crisis. Okay. Yes. I think,
all of our other social media
sites
sites already
social media sites do. That said... But those aren't owned by China, right?
Right.
So that's
fine.
But I was thinking, Paulie, the first person that came into my head was Sammy Levitt.
Yeah.
Like Sammy Levitt's a TikTok star. There's no getting around it. He's a TikTok star. He'll have to pivot. He'll have to find something else.
I think he's got like 200,000 followers on Instagram.
On Instagram? God, 200,000.
I thought so.
That is insane. So I don't know, man. I don't know if this thing's going to go.
I thought he'd be okay.
I don't know if it's going to actually go away. I have some friends that are really bummed about it. They've learned a lot on TikTok.
300,000.
300,000.
Whatever happens, Coldplay will find their Sammy Levitt quote
Audio
in 12 months
somewhere.
again. They will find it somewhere. Reese Witherspoon will find it. They will find Sammy Levitt on some sort of social media platform on December 29th, 2025.
Elisa says Sammy is a Chinese spy. Confirmed. Yeah.
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 Obviously.
Yeah, that's tough, dude. That is tough.
That is weird.
It is weird.
You're just going to
look,
ban one of the most popular apps.
I won't miss it because I don't use it, but I realize that so many people do. There are people, their whole
Let's
living.
just ban them all, for 6 months. Let's just all take a break.
It would not be the worst thing ever.
Just everybody takes a little social media break for 6 months.
I'm so close to just
see what happens.
Deactivating for a while. But baseball season's starting. You really can't. I did it during baseball season. It was tough. It was really tough to stay abreast.
I promise you can.
Huh?
I promise you can.
No, you can. You can. But from nothing, to be a host on a show, there's no way. It was so hard.
You get a lot of FOMO.
It wasn't really FOMO. I guess it was missing out on news and stuff, but it was good for my mental health. That's for sure. And I worry about my kids moving forward, TikTok and things like that. But we'll see. If it's not them, it's going to be something else.
Instagram Reels.
Yeah, Instagram Reels.
Which are not great.
Not great.
Is that different than just Instagram?
Yes.
It's the Reels part of it.
The Reels part.
All right.
My wife kills me every time because she goes, yeah, thanks for showing me this Instagram Reel. I saw it on TikTok 3 months ago.
Correct.
All right, we're done for the week.
Have a good weekend,
Andy
guys.
Elston program, you as well. We got college football tonight. We will talk to you Monday morning at 6 a.m. For Paul Reinl and Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, buddy.